Hello and welcome back to the Trick Play Podcast on Fresh Take Network. I'm Simon Chaskovsky here with Michael Phelps. Oh, no, sorry, I got swimmers mixed up. Caleb Pearson. Sorry. Shortly, we will be breaking down all the sports-related news, rumors, and drama that you will want to hear about. This week, we will be starting in the NHL with a little bit of a season preview. A little bit late. We missed the first game, probably the first 2 days. We'll see how quick I can get this out. But right now, the first day of games, or first games of the season, are just wrapping up. As we are recording this, I believe Bedard currently still only has one assist. Just a little Bedard update. Do we have to go nuts?
Bedard didn't get any more points, but the Blackhawks have taken the lead. They're up 3-2.
Well, I don't actually care about that. All I care about is Bedard, because I'm the average hockey media consumer. And anyway, we are going to do a little bit of a season preview, go over who we think is going to win each division, as well as how each division is going to work out. Then at the very end, we will be giving a Stanley Cup prediction on who we think is going to win, as well as it's going to be pretty similar to our NFL season preview, if you remember that. And that was around 3.5 hours, I think, in total time. So we're going to try and stay under that. That is the goal.
Yeah.
And then after that, we will probably move into the NFL, where we will talk a little bit about Week 5 and everything that happened there, do a little bit of wrap-up. Then we'll go into the some NFL trades that went down, including Claypool to the Dolphins, and a couple other ones, including, but not limited to, Gregory to the 49ers, and Van Jefferson to the Falcons. I didn't say they were entertaining trades. Okay, let's get into it. Caleb, are you ready to get into it? That didn't make sense.
I am. I mean, I feel like I have to address the controversy from last week before we get into it.
Probably do.
I made a prediction. It didn't go so well. I'm a man of my word. By at least 2 podcasts from now, I will have jumped in the ocean and you will see it.
Can I just quickly say something? The funniest thing about this entire thing, watching this kind of unfold in the last couple days since that episode has come out, is the fact that it's not like I pressured you to make a prediction, but there was nothing in there that said that you had to jump in the ocean. That was the funny part about this. You did this completely to yourself.
I was so confident, and even when the Bears were up 27-3, I still felt pretty confident because they started to let the Commanders back into it. But I don't know. It's okay. I've been needing a little bit of a dip. The weather here is very cold and rainy, so it might not be very fun, but that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, don't get hypothermia.
I'm willing to. It's okay. If I get hypothermia, then it'll be.
At least you can blame Justin Fields.
You might have to do another solo podcast.
But terrific. That's okay. Who doesn't want that?
I'll recover. You know what? It's 20 on Friday. I can stomach that.
Oh, great. Yeah, no, that was absolutely hard. A little bit of me was felt bad for you when I was posting that short. And then I actually watched it back and watched how it went down and went, no, you completely did that to yourself.
I did.
It's because listen, if you had done that on a Seahawks game or a game where it was the 49ers taking on the Cardinals, I would have been all right, you're safe. You're not going for a swim. But this was the shit bowl of shit bowls, right? This was the worst game between two pretty bad teams.
The Commanders had almost beat the Eagles.
I know. So the funny thing is I agreed with you, but I did not say that I was going for a swim in the ocean.
Yeah, that was the most confident I've been in a pick in a while. So
yeah.
That's
Don't start sports betting. Trick Play is not a sports betting podcast, and it will not be becoming one.
If you're taking any of my picks seriously and putting money on them, I have no responsibility on that. That is completely you should not be trusting me with your money. I can't even be trusted with my own money.
You know what? Fair enough. Well, we can get into it. We're gonna be, like I said, we're gonna be starting off with just a little bit of a NHL season preview. Obviously, a little bit late, but it is what it is. Let's get into it.
Hell yeah.
So, like I said a second ago, we will be hopping straight into our season preview. both me and Caleb have spent probably the last 20 minutes just putting together a little bit of a list. For me, it is almost a 2-page long Word doc with pretty much just a bunch of numbers and teams on it. And at the very end of it is who I have winning the Stanley Cup. Yeah, Caleb is very, very similar. Do not zoom in on that. You will spoil the next 3.5 hours of this podcast. But
So I hold it up for 1 second. Don't pause the video.
don't pause the video. Don't do it. If you're the audio listener, I don't know. Don't watch the video. Just don't. The video version is usually worse. Stay on the Fresh Take Network. Anyway,
Good plug.
okay. What? Yeah, good plug. Anyway, where do you want to start? Because obviously we can pretty much take whatever route we want with this. I think doesn't really matter to me.
This is where you say don't bury the lead and you start in the Atlantic. I think.
Okay.
I feel like that's a good way to start.
Well, do you want to make your way up? Do you want to start at the top? What do you want to do here?
Ooh, I want to. Let's go bottom up. That tends to be more.
Okay. Well,
interesting.
Why do you have the Canadians at the bottom?
Not even because they're bad, just because they're not as good as everybody else, and like everybody else could make the playoffs. I don't think the Canadians fans, you'll be 8th in the division, but it's okay. You will be better than most of the teams in the Metropolitan, so it's okay. Not quite your year, but hey, maybe because of the tough division, you'll get some good draft picks. So you'll be back again soon. You've got some young talent. You're last, but this isn't like you're very bad.
And the thing is, they did get better. I like when I look at the squad, I do think that they are a half decent team. Obviously, goaltending is going to be a bit of an issue with them, considering they're relying on Jake Allen in 2023. I feel like that's going to be pretty flimsy. But other than that, when I look at the squad, I don't see a team that's necessarily bad. I just see a team that's young. At the end of the day, that's going to be their issue, right? Where it's just they've got a very young team. They're going to be a fun team. I think they're going to be a really, really fun team this year when I look at this just across the board. They've got a lot of young talent. Sean Monahan on the third line, I respect it. I don't know. I could see them in a very strange world potentially moving up a little. But that would have to mean that one of these teams really flopped. And with... I don't know. Maybe it'll happen. It probably won't. We'll see. We can move on to number 7. If it's not obvious, I also have Canadians at 8. But who knows? They are a pretty talented team as well. They are certainly not the worst team in the conference. We can definitely say that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, who do you have at 7 for the Atlantic?
I have, and this hurts me a little bit because I really, really like this team. It's just that. It's just a wrecking ball of a division. Again, I think they are better than like 5 of the teams in the Metropolitan, but this is the Ottawa Senators.
Okay. I have a funny feeling me and you are going to like swap our 6 and 7s here, but the funny thing is, like, just who do you have at 6?
I don't know if we will because my 6.
Do you have a shocker one? Oh, okay. Okay, if it's a controversial one, then I won't reveal it. But I do not have the Sens at 6, or I have them at 6. I'm tired. But I do not have them at 7. But I will say that my 6 and 7 are very much swappable. I think that either of them could do better than the other. I think they are 2 very, very even teams that I think you could kind of go either way on. Again, 2 very, very good teams. Both probably won't make the playoffs just because of the competitiveness. Like, they're in one hell of a division. It's a rough division. But I've got the Red Wings at 7.
You've got the Red Wings. Okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna be going along with that.
Okay. Who do you have at 6, or do you want to talk about the Red Wings first?
I'll talk about the Red Wings later. But the one thing for the Sens, I just say like they, just looking at their lineup, their big thing is gonna be center depth. They have nobody after Stützle. Like that's the biggest thing for me. That's the only
depth
reason
in general. I'd say that's going to be an issue for them all year.
Well,
they've got pretty good defensive
wing depth.
Yeah, winger's not bad. I guess. The left side's a little rough in certain spots.
It's a little bit more, but it's not too bad. But when you're getting
not a playoff team.
Daily Faceoff has Ridley Grieg as their second line center. I've never heard of him in my life. That's rough.
Yeah.
That's where I stand on Ottawa. Like they will be
They're kind of the
feel like we
opposite
said
of the
this.
Flames, where they have a lot of right
Yeah.
wing depth and absolutely no centers.
Yeah, they're a team that I feel like we say this every year, but I feel like they'll be a playoff team next year. It's just
Isn't
not
that the
looking
weird
good
thing,
now.
right? Like, because every year they look good and then they just kind of don't live up to it. The strange thing is, I'd say their defense is very good. I think they've got a very strong defense. They have a lot of guys who are very mobile and are very good at moving with the puck. I'd like to see how they potentially use that to make their offense maybe a little bit better, and maybe they won't have to rely on those centers to be mobile in the offense quite as much. But I'd still say that's going to be where they fall in their own sword a little bit. There is going to be. I agree with you. I think center depth is going to be a big issue. Depth in general. Truthfully, I still stand by what I said with that. I think that's going to be an issue. Korpisalo is not a bad goaltender by any means, but I don't necessarily think that he's anything special. I don't know if you can. Obviously, we just saw a team win the cup with Hill, so I mean, who knows what'll happen. But I don't know if I necessarily rely on him to win 82 or not 82 games, obviously, but you know what I mean. I don't know how much I like him as a starter on a top tier playoff team, which is not what the Ottawa Senators are. But I think that they have to make a couple changes. They have to obviously better center depth. I'd probably, I mean, that top line's pretty solid, but Giroux won't be around forever. And maybe an upgrade between the pipes wouldn't hurt. But they have the defense of an elite team, without a doubt. Defense will win them a lot of games, I think. But it won't be enough.
I
games.
agree.
It won't be enough games. We can move on.
All right.
Who do you
have the
have
Red Wings
at 6? I have the Sens at 6, but
I have a team. If this happens, and I'm not saying it will, but
you kind of are saying it will.
It will set. Well, I mean, I am. You know what? I'm a little bit.
Come on, stand with your guns. Simon, die on the hill.
Simon, I'm jumping in the ocean because I stuck to my guns. It's a little bit difficult to stick to my guns now. But
fair enough.
If this happens, like I believe it will, then it will be one of the biggest drop-offs, probably the biggest drop-off in NHL history. And I have the Boston Bruins at 6 and missing the playoffs.
That I understand. I can respect that because again, I'd almost
team
argue
with Milan Lucic ain't winning shit.
Okay, well, if that's your only reason, I don't know if I agree with you. But
No, it's not.
I don't have the Bruins there. I don't have them at 6. But I do see why you would put them at 6 because there is. We already know that the Red Wings are above them, and I get that. I think that the Red Wings totally have the potential of being above the Bruins here. I think, for me, if we just want to talk about the Bruins, do you want to do that now? I can reveal.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I have the Bruins at 5, and I actually do have them making the playoffs. I think that they'll probably just slip in, though. Because when a lot of people are acting like this team sucks now, when I don't think that's the case.
Yeah,
they are worse.
Even though I have them missing the playoffs, I don't think they suck. Because, again, they're playing in such a tough division.
But the thing is, in a tough division like this, I honestly don't know if there's anybody I'd bet on more than the Maple Leafs. It's just one of those things where, or not the Maple Leafs, what the hell am I saying? You know what I mean, Boston. If I were a betting man in the last 10 years, a lot of my money would be going towards the Bruins. Because they're just that team. They're all reliable, right? I could see them slipping in the 8th seed. I could see it. They have elite goaltending, and elite goaltending can get you a long way in this league.
Yeah, I mean, you're betting on Allmark not being a fluke from last year, which I think it's
but even Swayman,
it's a fair
Allmark,
bet, but it's not a bad bet. Yeah, they have a good duo, but it's not there's potential that it won't be elite, and it's definitely going to be worse than last year, because that's how it goes, right? You're not going to have 2 Vezina winning seasons in a row.
Okay, and that's fair. But I don't think that they'll both fall off. Who ends up being the starter halfway through the year? I don't know if we really know, and you are making a good point with that. But I think whoever ends up being the starter will be good enough for Boston to win it. Because we've seen a lot of talent from Swayman. We've seen a lot of talent from Allmark. And I think that there's no way both of them suck.
Yeah, I mean, and again, it's not me saying they'll miss the playoffs, it's a bold prediction for sure, but I still think they're in the top 8 teams in the conference. It's just that I have to include 3 teams from the Metropolitan.
Yeah.
And so just based on that, the Bruins are kicked out. Because I won't tip my hand too much for the Metropolitan, but I think they're better than my 3 team in that.
Okay, well that's fair. Yeah, like at the end of the day,
this team, and I just see a bunch of like missing pieces at this point, where they still have Pasta, they still have Marchand, but after that, who do they really have? Let's spend more on offense. Their defense is great.
Yeah, there's that defense.
I don't know where the offensive support is going to come from.
Well, yeah, that's fair. That's very fair. No, I definitely see what you mean. I think that this is going to be a very defensive team if they do end up winning anything. Yeah. Like, they're going to have to rely on a very strong defense and hopefully a strong goaltending, at least if you're a Bruins fan. I would definitely say that I think the odds of them being good are a lot higher than the odds of them being bad. Although that could just be the fact that I don't know. The sun will die before the Bruins are truly bad. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I don't know though. It's a banner
sun's
year
dying.
for Boston sports teams starting to be bad.
True.
The Patriots are looking like they're gonna make me look smart for saying Bill Belichick will get fired by the end of the season. Like, yeah. we'll get to that later. But
rough. Yeah.
It's a change of the times, and maybe if it happens that way for one Boston sports team who you could always bet on, then who's to say it can happen to the other one?
No, that's fair. Okay, well, we should move on.
Weird that it comes after the season they had last year, but yeah.
Okay, well, we can move on. Did you say who you have at 5, or was it just me who said that?
In 5?
Yeah.
In 5, this is where we start making the playoffs. So I have 2 wildcard teams, both in the Atlantic.
I'm in the same boat.
Which, obviously. And my 5 is the Florida Panthers.
Oh, okay. I also have Florida making the playoffs as well. But, just slightly further up. I have them at 4. But why do you have them at 5? Because clearly that means that they're going to be just barely sneaking in.
Yeah, and I think it's what they were last year, right? They got streaky in the playoffs, but they were never a consistent team. I think they'll be, even though I do have them basically in the same position as they were last year, I think it's going to be a lot of a tougher fight for the playoffs than it was last year.
Yeah.
And I think that they will, in this division, they're going to be streaky. There are going to be points where people start to question them, but they're going to pull out enough of those close games that they're going to find a way to sneak in the playoffs. And then for this team, I think the attitude is just get in the playoffs and then see what happens, because that's what happened last year. And with a kind of team like this that I think is built for the playoffs, you're looking at them and thinking like, okay, it's a team that could go far. In the regular season, their depth is pretty sketchy past the few playoff-tested veterans that they have.
I will pull up the lineup. I do not have that in front of me.
It's looking rough right now.
Yeah.
But they've still got... When you have a team with Barkov and Kachuk, like, you're going to still do fine. You hope Bobrovsky plays up to his...
That top 6 is still going to be pretty incredible, no matter who they end up mixing around in there, right? Like, but you are right. That once you get past that top 6, it gets pretty rough. Defense might be an issue for them, honestly, this year. Like, I don't know how much I trust Oliver Ekman-Larsson still as a top-line defenseman.
You have to hope. I don't know when Aaron Ekblad's coming back. Who just got moved to long-term IR, which is
it all comes back to that. I think they might struggle a little bit because they really do fall off as you move further and further down that defensive side. Goaltending, they will not forever be solid. We've seen Bobrovsky suck quite a bit. Hopefully he does well enough for them to be all. He'll be okay. Yeah, like that's more. I think what I meant with that is he'll be solid enough. Like, he will not be the reason you lose, but he'll also not be the reason you win. I don't know. Like, the more I look at this team, the more I feel like there are more questions than answers, and it just makes me want to move them further and further down my list. I do have them at 4 though.
Yeah, I think I have them at 5. I think I'm looking at this. There's some injuries that like maybe they'll struggle at the start of the season and then get back. There's some key guys out: Hornquist, Ekblad, Sam Bennett, Brandon Montour, all key guys that are out with injury. But this is a long season. They'll come back, and I think they'll sneak into the playoffs. And then again, once they get there, who knows?
Yeah, who knows? After last year, the sky's the limit, obviously.
Yeah.
But anyway, did you reveal who you have at 4?
Nope.
I do have a guess.
What is your guess?
Red Wings.
No.
Wow. Okay.
The Red Wings are not appearing yet. We have the newly crowned Buffalo Sabres.
Wow. Buffalo at 4 is very interesting to me. Because we talked a bit about this before the podcast. And I think I will be playing devil's advocate here, but I was seeing I follow Noah Adler on Twitter. He's the one person that I saw really point this out, and it just got my gears turning on it a little bit. But the idea that the Sabres could honestly win this division, they are looking very good this year. When you just look at this team on paper, this is a scary team. Zach Benson has already been shining in a lot of the preseason action we saw him get. The fact that you have Peyton Krebs as a fourth line center is nuts. They have a lot of very good depth, and it only gets better when you look at the defense. I mean, I think we all knew that a team with Owen Power and Rasmus Dahlin was going to be nuts. I don't know. I don't know what I have to say about this team. As long as Devin Levi ends up turning into even an above average goaltender, which obviously I think there's a lot of hopes for him to be really, really good. But I'm saying even if he's just above average this year, this team is going to be insane. So I just wanted to open with that. I wanted to open with giving all the hype so that you can knock it all down, because I want to hear exactly why you have them at 4.
Yeah, I think having them at 4 in this division, again, you have to remember that they play in a division with the Leafs and the Lightning, who have been, the Lightning have obviously been the class of the NHL, and the Leafs, for as much as you can trash on them for doing bad in the playoffs, they have
always been very
regular
good in the
season performers.
Yep.
And so, I think that's an automatic at least 3rd. I have one other team above them, which you might have deduced by now. But I think those two will be very close. I think 3 and 4 are pretty interchangeable for me. I think they'll be a very good team. I think the big key is Devin Levi, as you said. Is he going to be what we predict him to be? It's a young team, which is why I have them a little bit. I don't have them making that top 3 because it's the kind of thing that takes a little bit of a time to gel.
Here's my prediction. Here's my jump in the ocean. If the Sabres don't win the cup in the next 10 years, I'll jump in the ocean. How about that? Just to be clear, I feel like that's slightly more fair considering I live nowhere near the ocean.
Okay.
If you want me to buy a plane ticket and fly out to the ocean, then then you might have to wait 10 years.
We can very easily throw you in the Bow River, Simon. It's not that hard.
Okay, fair. Fair, that's true. Maybe I might wait. To make my prediction. Wait till the Flames go on a tear, and then I'll make some stupid prediction that ends up biting me in the ass. I'm not making that on the Sabres. I think your mistake was making it on the Commanders. I am not about to make that on the Sabres. But anyway, I'm going to wait to talk a bit more about the Sabres because I have them higher up than 4. But anyway, I'm trying to remember where we are at now.
Can you deduce who I have at 3?
Red Wings, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about them then? Because we kind of skipped over them actually, so we can talk about them.
I think they'll be very good. I think if there's going to be a
totally
year,
have the potential to be very good.
I think if there's going to be a year, this is the year. With DeBrincat coming in as that one last little puzzle piece. I mean, we got fooled once by it with Ottawa, but I don't know. It feels a little bit more right.
There's a couple things that I want to break down with this team because with Detroit, The more I look at their team, the more I'm not as happy with my pick of having them at 7. I feel like I'd swap them in the sense, but for the sake of this conversation, I will play devil's advocate. I will say that a couple issues that I do have with this is the fact that I'm not too confident in their goaltending. I think that could potentially be an issue for them if obviously they need Ville Husso to really, really step up if they want him to be successful. They do have a very good defense. And like you said, that top line is going to be really good. Like Alex DeBrincat, Dylan Larkin. Right now they have David Perron, but I wouldn't be surprised if Lucas Raymond ends up making a couple appearances up there. But they really need a lot of their young guys to step up. And I'm not saying it won't happen. But I think if I were to say where I think that even their top could be, I don't think it's 3. Because I don't know. The funny thing is it feels like you put down the Sabres for a lot of the reasons that I think you're going to end up putting up Detroit. I think that I'm just more confident in the Sabres when I look at, because at the end of the day, these are two very young teams. They're two
I think they're
really
very similar.
Teams. They are very similar.
I think they're very similar. I again, the difference between 3 versus 4 in this division, I think, is maybe 1 or 2 points.
Okay.
So
okay.
Me putting them above the Sabres is not me saying, oh my God, they're going to be this much better. It's just me giving myself a little bit. I feel like both of these teams have a very high capacity to potentially crash and burn. I feel a little bit more confident in the Red Wings not crashing and burning for very stupid reasons. It's just that the Sabres have not made the playoffs in so long that predicting them to just like clinch up that number 3 spot feels bold.
Okay.
And this feels a little bit less bold to me. I really like. I will say I really like Detroit's defense. I think they've got really good depth. You've got the star with Seider, young star, but they've got good a second pair of Ben Sherratt and Jeff Petrie, and then Oli Mata and Shane Goss.
I could be wrong.
It's a little veteran heavy, but that's really good. You're looking at a few good players there who can provide some solid support. I think they have a little bit of a lower floor than Buffalo, but I get your point. I think they'll be very close. I think in this division, I'm seeing 1 and 2 having a pretty decent. It's the Atlantic Division; they're all going to be good. 1 and 2 are higher than 3, 4, and 5, who are all I think going to be in the same zip code.
Yeah, no, it's going to be very close. Like you just said, I think it just comes down to that, because you said that you're more confident in Detroit not crashing and burning than you are Buffalo. I'm the opposite. I think that I'm a lot higher on Buffalo, because a lot of it went, and I say this a lot. I think a lot of it, my tiebreaker usually ends up being goaltending in most cases. I really like Devin Levi a lot more than I like Ville Husso as a starter, despite him being a rookie, whatever you want to say about it, right? I still think I'd take Levi over Husso, and I don't think that should be controversial. Because Husso has been good.
It's not.
Husso has been good at times.
Husso is a lower floor option just because of his experience.
Yeah.
I think Devin Levi has a much higher ceiling.
Because, we go back to 2021, 2022. Husso did have a really strong year. 25 wins, 7 losses, .919 save percentage. Really, really good year. But the fact that he fell off behind, frankly, a really, really good Detroit defense. Because the funny thing is, like you said, this Detroit defense is very good, but it's not that different to the year before, I don't believe. Now I don't have it in front of me, so maybe I'm talking out of my ass. But when I look at that top pairing, they had the same pairing last year. I believe they had Jeff Petrie's new, but I believe they had Ben Sherratt last year as well. A lot of these players are okay. Gostabir is new too, but you know what I mean. It's a very similar defense to what they're bringing last year with 2 new pieces. I don't know how much more those 2 new pieces help out Husso, I guess is kind of where I'm going with this. Or at least enough for him to bounce back that much. Who knows, though? With goaltenders, they're like the wind, right? You never know.
Yeah.
But
it's hard to bet on.
I would not. I don't know necessarily that I would be betting on Husso of all goaltenders to bounce back. But hey, you never know, right? For all we know, Levi could absolutely crash and burn and be in the AHL by January, right? Like we really
It's
don't.
a tough thing.
Yeah. Well, we can move on.
The first two are gonna be pretty easy. It just depends what order you got.
Did I talk about my number 3? I don't think I did.
Who is your number 3?
So, this is where me and you, I think, are going to differ a little bit. Because we didn't talk about this team, but it will reveal what my top 2 is. I have the Lightning at 3.
Oh, so
and I do have
Sabres
reason
above the Lightning.
I do have the
You have
Sabres,
above the Lightning. Ooh.
And the
this
main
is
reason...
where the Sabres hype gets too high for me.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. That's fair. Because at the end of the day, I was looking at it like this. How long are they going to be out without Vasilevsky? And how much can they keep up with the talent of the rest of this division without him? Because at the end of the day, he is going to be out about 10 weeks, right? That's a significant amount of time. That's since September, so that's going to be what? 2 months-ish? I should find a more recent one. If you want to try and find a more recent one while I ramble. But anyway, I think it just comes down to that. I think that this is the type of division where if you fall behind at all, you are going to get left behind. I don't think Tampa will get left behind. That being said, 3 is still very respectable, especially considering how good this division is. Like, we're going to keep hitting that point. But I don't know. I could see them struggling without their top goaltender there. Because Vasilevsky is their rock. Like, there has been a lot of points where this team has needed to rely on him, and he's always been there. They're going to have to see... Now he's going to have to see if they can play without him. I do not like Johansson as a starter. I don't like it.
As much as I think Tampa Bay is good enough of a team where they can definitely get by without Vasilevsky.
I'm not saying they won't...
It's
okay.
Johansson has played very well in the first game tonight.
Yeah, but that's one
they
game.
I know it's
like,
one game.
And
I know it's one game.
As good as they are, do you really think that without that top goaltender, they are... No, I'm not saying they're going to tank. I'm saying that I don't think they're going to make the top 2.
I don't think it's going to be
enough. I'm not saying they miss. I'm saying they maybe make the 3. I don't think they go top 2 after not having Vasilevsky for the first basically 2 months of the season. I think that you cannot undervalue.
Good enough of a team to beat everybody else, because you have to remember, yes, the Lightning are playing in a tough division, but so is everybody else, right? I just don't have that much faith. It's less like I just don't have that much faith in the Sabres to, in their first season of really doing anything, overcoming the Lightning, even with Vasilevsky out.
You don't think
because
so?
As important as goaltending is, it's not the end all be all. You still have one of the best rosters in the NHL in front of you, right? If Johansson is just average, they're still gonna win a lot of games.
Yeah, but that's the thing though. Like I just don't like it. I don't like it. I've just got that bad gut feeling, and I don't trust it. So I have them falling behind the Sabres, but this is absolutely my whatever it's called, upset. I definitely would say that this is my big upset. I'm curious where you have them, because in my head, just because of the fact that they don't have Vasilevsky, they were kind of hard to pin. But clearly you have a different opinion on that, so we can get to that. But anyway,
I have them at 2. I have them at 2.
Okay, so at the end of the day, though, like you said, that's going to be like a 1-game difference. If we're just going through this...
I think the Lightning have a pretty decent cushion from the rest of the pack.
You think so? Okay, well, at least I think that it's going to be pretty similar. Maybe just to be clear, I am definitely predicting that I think the Sabres are going to do really, really good. There's probably going to be a cushion there, but I don't think it's going to be that big. And then I think the top team's going to have quite a bit of a cushion. Like they'll probably clinch that conference pretty early. But anyway,
and who do we think that top team is?
The Leafs.
Yeah.
They're kind of all reliable in this Atlantic. It's generally the Leafs or the Lightning in the last couple of years. Obviously, we saw the Bruins last year, but that's been the one outlier. Like the previous years, it's usually been either the Leafs or Lightning, and I think it's safe to say it's probably going to be returning to that. Like you said, you clearly think the Leafs and Lightning are going to be the top 2, so I think you kind of share a similar opinion. But yeah, we can talk about the Leafs. Do you want to break down that a little bit?
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's not that much to talk about. I mean, with the Leafs, the big thing is just can they perform in the playoffs?
Can they perform in the playoffs, and how much do you trust the depth? Is the second question that I really think pops up.
I trust it. Again,
you trust it?
It's hard. I mean, it's always hard to say because the Leafs are never brought down by having like no depth or bad roster because they have as much as I think the Leafs get overhyped, they continually go into seasons with the best roster in the NHL. I think they've gone into the season with the best roster in the NHL for the maybe past 2 or 3 years. But that doesn't mean anything until you get to the playoffs, right?
No, of course not.
Because having the best team on paper never means anything.
Well,
I think that
I want to point out depth because you can say that usually doesn't weigh them down, but I think that in the last couple of years they have had better depth. I think that this is probably some of the worst depth they've had in recent years, and that's not me necessarily saying that. I don't
necessarily think so.
You don't think so? What is their previous? Are you looking at their previous rosters? Because that is what I want to look at. I am going off my own memory,
I'm looking at them now, but I'm looking at them now, but I'm having like our third. I don't know who Fraser Minton is. That's my one. Like
that's kind of where I'm meaning with that. Where it's like,
but
Yarncroke's not bad. Yarncroke is a good third defenseman.
Too as your third line.
Okay.
Like that's a good third line.
Okay.
David Kampf is a solid fourth line. Ryan Reeves is like again an interesting true living play.
Okay, sure. I'm just saying that I feel like a team that would be the top of the division would have better depth. That's all I'm saying. I don't know how much I like it. I don't know how much it'll wear them down, obviously. I still have them winning the division. It is the one thing that I would poke. It's the one fault that I would give them. Defense is going to be great. That's a pretty solid defensive core. Maybe I'm biased because of Gio and Brody, but I like it. Klingberg being added to that,
it's a great core.
Yeah, it's a great core. I don't know how much I like Samsonov again because he was fairly inconsistent for them last year, if my memory serves me right.
It's better than Matt Murray.
It's
better than.
It's true. Yeah.
I don't know.
Better than Murray.
I like the.
There's a lot better than Murray.
The Leafs aren't really a team to talk about at this point. They're a team to talk about when you get to the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see how good they end up doing.
They're going to finish either first or second in the Atlantic. There is no shot they miss the playoffs unless something drastic happens. Like Matthews and Marner both get hurt. That might I won't do it 2 weeks in a row, but that could be a jump in the ocean prediction for me again. Like the Leafs are not missing the playoffs. But
and you'd be jumping in the ocean for like what, March? That would be rough. That would not be fun. That'd be rough.
That would not be fun. But
yeah,
they're not the most interesting team now. It's just when we get to the playoffs.
Are 30 minutes in. We are 30 minutes in, and we've done one division. And we also have to do the playoffs after that.
Okay, so it's okay because the Atlantic Division is by far the most interesting, but we can run through the other ones relatively quickly.
I don't have enough caffeine. Whatever, we're good. Let's do this. Okay, which one do you want to do next? Metro, probably. That makes the most sense. Okay, we'll stay in the East. Why do you have the Flyers at 8? Unless you don't have the Flyers at 8.
I don't have the Flyers at 8.
You don't have the Flyers at 8. Okay.
I have the discarded corpses of Johnny Gaudreau and Patrick Laine at 8.
That's fair. I have them at 7, so it's not like that's a very big difference there. I just think that the Flyers are slightly worse.
I was tempted to put the Blue Jackets higher just because I love Gaudreau and I think they have good young players. Like the Blue Jackets have one of the best up and coming, like when you look at their prospects, like Sillinger, Fantilli, like they've got some like great prospects in their system, but this is not their year, and they're going to be bad to start off the season because they just got a new coach. With all of that, like I cannot imagine these players being motivated to play,
especially after being bullied for a whole training camp by Mike Babcock about their wedding photos. Like it's gonna be rough.
And then to not even have it pay off with him in the building during the games. Because, I mean, like, if you're going to have Babcock for anything, it's going to be his, like, actually having him as the presence in the games. And you don't even have that. You get all the worst parts of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, you hit it right there. Where like the thing that people keep bringing Babcock back for is he's, as much as everybody loves to hate on him, he is one of the most brilliant hockey minds that we've seen in the last 20 years, at least in that coaching spot. It's just that he's kind of a dick. Like it comes down to that, right? Like he's just a dick. Like nobody wants him in the locker room, right? It's the same. Like I don't know. No, I won't do that. I won't do that to Babcock because even that seems extreme. But I almost want to compare it to like the reason that nobody wanted Antonio Brown, right? Where it's the type of thing where it's like
It's not that bad. It's not that far off.
yeah, like because you know what I mean though, right? Where it's like you would be
Yeah.
adding one of the most talented wide receivers in the league, but do you really want to have that guy in your locker room? Sure, during games you'll be kicking ass, but like what are you gonna is he actually gonna be able to stick around the full 82 or 17 like in that case? Like that's the thing with Babcock, right? Where it's just people don't know his shelf life gets worse and worse every time he goes somewhere new. And
He's not going to be going anywhere near.
no,
new
he's
now.
not going
Like,
anywhere new. Maybe Russia. We'll see.
Yeah, KHL, the newest. What is it like? Moscow, whatever. Head coach.
Hey Siri, how do you say "show me your wedding pictures" in Russian? Come on, Siri.
In Russian, show me your wedding pictures is.
Покажи мне свои свадебные фотографии.
Take notes, Babcock. Okay, we can move on. Okay, let's talk about the Flyers because they're who I have at 8, so we can do that.
Yeah,
I'm guessing you have them
that.
at 7.
I mean, I didn't originally, but now I do because I just took one look at their roster and it
Yeah.
made me puke. So yeah, I have them at
Yeah.
7.
Well, the thing is, that's why I was kind of shocked because I agree with you. I think the Blue Jackets are terrible, but I still think that they have enough talent that they'll be better than the Flyers. The Flyers are bad. They are really bad. They are
I
probably
don't
going to get
think
the
I
first
quite
overall pick
realized
next
how
year.
bad they were.
They
Yeah,
are
it's-
terrible. This is a literal walking corpse. Like I honestly am one of the few people I think at this point who does not like to hate on Carter Hart too much, just because I still think of his. I'm gonna pull up his stats because I'm sure I'm gonna end up saying something a little biased because I like to think about his. Well, I like to think of him as the player he was on the IHF team that one year.
Yeah, Carter. I think Carter Hart still has the potential to be really good. He's just.
He's
just a streak. He's just a streaky guy. Like
he's a streaky guy, and he's also been stuck behind some bad Flyers teams. I think that doesn't get talked about enough. I feel like he's kind of the new John Gibson, in a weird way, where like he's just stuck behind a terrible team.
It feels like the kind of thing too where he'll start getting more of his flowers later once everybody realizes how bad of a position he's been in and that it isn't all his fault. Like,
well, the thing is, like, we've seen a lot of talent from when he's been given the opportunity to shine on good teams. It's just, I mean, who wouldn't struggle behind that Flyers squad? I mean, throw prime Carey Price back there, and it still probably would be rough.
he's still not going to win a lot of games.
Like, that's the thing, right? Like, you can only do so much when you're facing as many shots as he'll be facing this year. Like, it's going to be rough. Like, he is the one thing on this team that I see that could potentially be decent. Like, I don't even know who to point out here. Like, Couturier. I don't know.
Couturier ain't bad.
There you go.
Cam
He's not
Atkinson
bad.
ain't
Like,
bad.
he's not a bad
Konechny-
top
Konechny
center.
ain't bad.
Like, he's not a bad top center, but, like, I would say this will be they will be a contender for the first overall pick, for sure.
Yeah.
If not,
I think them and the Blue Jackets will both be. I think they're both pretty bad.
Yeah, I think the Blue Jackets will be a little bit better than they were last year, just because young guys coming in maybe helping out that locker room.
I give the edge to the Flyers just because of the off ice stuff.
Sure,
the Blue
that's
Jackets.
understandable
pretty much
too.
what separates
I get
it.
that. Yeah, no, I get that. I completely understand that. Who do you have at 6? Because this is where it kind of gets interesting to me because we talked about this before. Where we talked about how we'll get into the West, but the West is almost hard because there's a lot of teams that are very similar and a lot of teams that are almost very mediocre. I feel like you kind of get a taste of that in the Metro once you get around this 6-5-4 spot, in my opinion. So I'm curious what order you have them in. But
Okay, so I do agree. I think 4, 5, 6 are all really close for me. I think this is a significant step up from the Flyers.
Yes,
I'm
I
looking
agree.
at the Washington Capitals.
I am too. I think that the Capitals are also going to be right in that spot.
Yeah, I think they're gonna be like a little bit below mid.
And it hurts me. If I'm being honest with you, it hurts me. My boy Matthew Phillips sadly won't be able to carry them to glory that much. I think he's going to be good.
Matthew Phillips is going to be so good, and he's
going to be so good. It is. Can we just rant about how painful of player management that is by the Flames?
Oh, it's awful.
Like, holy crap.
This is what is it? Okay, that's
How do you go from dominating? Pause the segment. Pause the segment. Okay, I need to rant.
How many players have they let get away?
How do you let the top AHL scorer over the last 3 years, I believe, just drift away, and then look, he magically is the top line winger on the next team he's on? It's wild. It's so terrible. Like, how the hell does this keep happening?
It's literally every single time.
Phillips, Valimaki, Bennett, if you want to look at that. Like, it's like
Adam Fox. I know Adam Fox didn't want to play here, but that's another one. And I mean, like, oh my god,
there's so many bad ones. It is brutal.
It's just brutal.
Like, the Flames are literally we are shooting out talent. We just can't hold on to them.
And it goes back. It goes back.
It goes back years.
It's
oh my god.
It goes back decades.
Yeah,
Let's
true.
talk about all of the Hall of Famers that were on.
Hey, ever heard of you know what? There's another short guy.
Martin St. Louis.
Yeah.
There's another guy who was.
Wow, I wonder if the Flames will learn there to let. I remember thinking to myself back in like 2012, little old Simon, thinking to myself, the Flames had Martin St. Louis. That's so cool. I wonder if we'll make that mistake again. I'm sure we won't let that man's glorious calves run away again. And then we fucking did.
Yep.
We did it again.
Another guy who the Flames had. They drafted him and they let him get away. Brett Hull, that's another one. John Sebastian Jaguar, who I'm pretty sure didn't he win the Hart or something, or was that somebody else? Anyway, he won the Stanley Cup with the Ducks. Like, oh my god. What is it with the Flames and just taking these young players and just
Gilmore, if you want to look at it like that.
Yeah, I mean, at least Gilmore played some years, but it's like, and if you want to string it out as far as Gilmore, you can add Kachuk on that too, because that's a pretty similar kind of thing. It's just awful the way they're handling their young talent is just brutal.
It's depressing. And
like I said before, it's my. That's the one thing with Tree Living gone. That gives me a little bit of hope. I feel like Conroy will be at least a little bit better with that.
It was Conroy who let Phillips go. Which just immediately, believe me, I'm a big Craig Conroy believer because I've liked a lot of the moves he has made since becoming general manager. There hasn't been a lot, but the ones that he has made, I have mostly agreed with. But this has to be one of the worst decisions I've seen, especially when you look at just put him on with the right wing depth. Hell, it's not like we have the best left wing depth either, especially now with Pellicher out. And we had to go find AJ Greer, who AJ Greer is not the worst fourth line winger. Okay, I'm not saying that, but what I am saying is I would have.
Matthew Phillips is better than fucking Igor.
Yeah, exactly. Right, like
you could put him on. Oh my god! Imagine
I was
this
about
second line.
Where I was about to go with that is
Kadri.
I would rather have Phillips on his off wing than having basically any right winger. Maybe not Coronado. I would take Coronado over Phillips, but the fact that that's even close shows how bad the player management by the Flames has been in the last however long.
Oh, it's just brutal.
It is rough. We can talk about the Flames later on. We have to get there first. We should just talk about the Capitals as a whole.
The Capitals, it's just like they still
they're
have
old.
good players. It's just that they're old, yeah. Because their core is still the same core that it's been for like the last 10 years. Ovechkin, Backstrom, Oshie, Kuznetsov, Tom.
They're going to and they're going to stay mediocre until Ovi eventually breaks the goal record and retires. And then they'll tank.
This team is just a walking
because me and you have had this conversation with multiple teams over the Pens are the other one that we've had this conversation about, where it's the idea of holding onto your stars way past their expiration date.
This team only.
And I'm not saying Ovi's bad.
Exists to get. No, Ovi is still good, but this team only exists to get
He
Ovi to that
is
goal record.
nowhere
They are not
near what
going
he
for
used to.
anything else.
Ovechkin is not the player. Like, because the thing is, the fact that we're even saying Ovechkin now is still a 35 goal scorer. Easily 35. If you think he's not going to score a 35, you're stupider than you look. Because Ovechkin will be able to stand in that spot right by the hash marks and shoot it till he dies. He could be 80 and still score 35 goals. He's that kind of player. Because he's very smart. As long as he can, he doesn't need to be able to skate. As long as he can shoot, he'll score. He's like, I don't even know what to compare it to. Like, he's just got that one move that nobody can stop. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Sure, we'll do that in basketball. Bring it to that, right? It's the one thing that nobody knows how to stop. And it's weird because it's so simple, right? It's the same. I'm going to stop with that analogy because I feel like I'm going to get bullied for that. But you know what I mean, right? At the end of the day.
I feel like it's a good analogy.
It's
a similar thing.
Because at the end of the day, like, and the thing is, they're just going to keep milking that until they can't, right? Like, they're going to keep sucking because they just don't want to tank. At the end of the day, and who knows, maybe they won't have to when Phillips puts up 120 points in his rookie season. But I mean, I don't know. We can move on. My brain's cramping. I've talked too much.
If you wanna sum up this thing, the Capitals are going to be a little bit mid and potentially bad, but Matthew Phillips is going to move up onto that second line with Kuznetsov and Tom Wilson eventually, and he's going to
move up onto that first line. Are you kidding?
Okay, but
playing his off wing.
Playing his off wing with Ovi, I'd love that.
Yes, it's gonna happen. Are you? That's my prediction. You're saying second line? TJ Oshie better be holding on to that right wing spot tight because he's not going to have it for too long.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we can move on. Who else do we got? We have now talked about 7, 8. Have you talked about your 6th spot? Yeah, we both had Capitals. Okay, well, we can move on. I'm going to assume we both have the same 5, but I have the Penguins.
Oh.
No.
I do
not. Okay.
I have the Islanders at 5.
That is surprising me. Okay. What is your reasoning for having the Islanders at 5?
I think that the Penguins have a little bit of a better top 6. When I look at this team, I'm looking at I have complained about the Penguins and their roster building for a long time, and
I was going to say that is the surprising thing to me because you are. If I know anybody, you are, especially in this offseason, you have been a Penguins hater, where you do not like what they're doing.
And it's not.
So it's very surprising to me because the funny thing is I have been the defender for the Penguins, and I actually, between the two of us, with what they've been doing, and I still have them lower.
And it's not that I think that their moves that they've made will make them a worse team this year. I think the moves they've made are making them better this year. I just think that 2-3 years down the line, they have set themselves up to implode like no team has ever imploded other than the Red Wings. It's just...
and the Penguins after the 90s. That's the other one I think of.
Yeah.
That's the ironic thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But looking at this top 6, like it's still like the core for again. They're very similar to the Capitals in this way.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the funny thing.
You look at them and it's their same top 6 from their cup runs, basically.
Well, like think about it like this, right? It's been Ovi versus Crosby for as long as either me or you can probably remember, right? And the funny thing is like you just go through time like 2010. Yeah, Ovi versus Crosby. Let's go. 2 best players in hockey. 2015. Okay, Ovi versus Crosby. It's still good 5 years later. 2020. Okay, maybe a bit too much Ovi versus Crosby. Maybe a little bit too much. Maybe we should calm it down a little bit. I'll start thinking about our retirement home. Now it's 2023, 2024, and it's like, they're still good, but they're not that good. Something that we won't have time to talk about this week. I sent you, I think it was me that sent it to you, but not the other way around. But I sent you a little, I have to find it.
the list.
A list.
Well, they have
It is a
Crosby
list.
at like 8 in terms
Yeah,
of
they-
the best players in the NHL.
Because I did originally want to talk about this. This might be flipped. Is it flipped? It is not flipped.
I think it's safe to
blurry.
say that this may be the only segment we do this
But,
podcast.
We're
not going to be able to talk
rough.
about that.
Yeah, but anyway, they on this list they have Crosby at 9, which is in between Nikita Kucherov at 8, Rantanen at 10, and has him in front of Jack Hughes, Adam Fox, Jason Robertson, and I'm going to skip Vasilevsky in this case, but Braden Point, Mitch Marner, the list goes on, which I think is ridiculous.
It's high.
It's high. It's high. Because, like, just think about it like this. At this point, I honestly have been thinking that Ovi's better than Crosby. That has been the way that I've been thinking at it. And just as a comparison, Ovechkin is 30 on this list. So
I think Crosby is very high, but I also think, knowing you are one of the biggest Crosby haters that I know.
Fair.
And I think he has been producing at a
me and
decently high
Crosby,
rate
me
for
and
how old he
Crosby,
is.
me and Crosby have mended the relationship a little bit since when I was younger. But I will say that I would, if I'm being honest with you, looking at this. Oh no, actually, never mind.
Crosby still put up 93 points last year.
Okay, but would you have him in front of Tage Thompson? Would you have him in front of Barkov? Would you have him in front of Eichel? Would you have him in front of
I'd have him in
Kaprizov?
front of Eichel.
Okay, Eichel is respectable. Eichel's respectable. But Tage Thompson and, hell, even go further back, having him in front of Zibanejad, having him in front of Stamkos.
He is absolutely in front of Zibanejad. That's not even a
you think so?
question. Oh, not even close. I think Crosby has reached the point where he was overrated for so long.
Then now he's
in
underrated?
terms of just him being worshipped as a god. Obviously, he's one of the greatest players of this generation.
All I'm saying is if I were to rewrite this list, I would probably have Crosby just based on his peers around him, probably between 25 to 30. But I don't think that's disrespectful.
I'd put him
because, like I said, you made it when I pointed out Tage Thompson. Guess where he is?
Oh, probably 30s to 20s.
27. He's 27. Barkov's 22. Eichel's 20. Right? When you look at it like that,
that's that bad. With Tage Thompson, even I have to hesitate.
But you have to. You cannot sit here and tell me that Crosby deserves to be that high.
Oh, I don't. I think it's high.
Having him in the top 20 seems absurd. I'd have him
between like 15. No, I'd have him in the top 20. I'd have him in the top 20.
In front of Mitch Marner?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, clearly we might have to agree to disagree on this one because I don't think either of us are changing our minds. But with this, and if we hang on this fence, we'll be here for a while.
Career.
Yeah. Well, I'm not. Listen, I am not saying that Crosby is not elite. I am saying because, like, look at this list. Okay, think about how much talent there is in the NHL. There are a lot of people behind him that I'd still consider elite: Panarin, Marchand, Stamkos, Hintz. Hischier. Oh my god, I'm mispronouncing that. I'm so tired.
Maybe not.
Yeah, Hintz is the other one there. But hell, like there's like everybody in the top 50 I would consider. That's fair. That's the thing. Like towards the back half of that, I totally get that. But I'd say the highest I'd have him is like low 20s. The highest or the lowest I'd have him is like 30-ish.
Okay.
Because I don't know. I don't know. We could talk about this forever. Because pinning Crosby and Ovi is just tough. Because it really just depends on how well you think they're going to do this year going into all that. Like I said, I still think Ovechkin's a 35-goal scorer. You could literally take both of his legs off and he'd still score 35. Like, it doesn't matter with him. I don't know if I'd necessarily say the same thing about Crosby. I'm a lot bigger on Ovi than I am Crosby at this point, but that's just me.
I take everything again. I take everything you say about Crosby with a little bit of a grain of salt.
Okay, fair enough. I'll give Crosby his flowers when he's gone. I have a lot of respect. If we wanna go into that a little bit, I have a lot of respect for Crosby as a player. I think he's one of the smartest players we've seen touch the ice. I think he has an incredible mind for the game. I do think he's getting up there in age. And I think I have which is the main reason that I think I have a hard time putting him in the top 20 because there's a lot of young guys who I would put in front of him at this point. including I do think that Tage Thompson is a better player at this point.
I don't know. When you're looking at top 20 players, I do want to see at least more than one season of good play.
That's fair. Okay, if you want to say that's your big no to that, then that's respectable.
It's top
I get
20 players, not just top 20 players from last season. Because there can be flashes in the pan. That happens.
Okay.
Not saying that Tage Thompson's gonna be that. It's
no, he's not. But
he's not. But there's the potential. I want to see a little more consistency, and he'll get there, but not yet.
I'm trying to find another person on this list that I would compare to that, but it's actually kind of tough in the top 30. You're right. They are consistent on that. Where Erik Karlsson. That's one where I'd almost argue it's a bit of a flash in the pan, and they have him in the top 29.
A little bit, yeah.
But
I wouldn't agree with that.
Yeah, anyway, we can move on. Actually, this is one where I actually respect them not judging it based on a flash in the pan, because Ryan Nugent-Hopkins at 48, he should not be higher than that. And I was kind of worried that he would be just because of his ridiculous point total, but clearly they did not go into that too much. We should move on. We've been talking about random garbage for a while. We are now at almost the 60th minute. This is going to be a purely hockey podcast. Hope you're excited.
Hey,
we aren't even in the West yet.
It might even beat our AFC.
Oh my God, it's going to blow it out of the water. Are you kidding? Just wait till we get to my Flames rant or my Oilers rant. Oh my God, this thing's going to be 3 hours long. Okay. Yeah, I hope you're not doing anything for the rest of the evening.
Nope.
Fucking block off your calendar for the week. This is going to be a rough one. Okay. Who have we talked about now? We've talked about who is your number 5?
I have Islanders at 5. I think we just swapped them. I assume because I have Penguins at 4.
No, I have a different team at 4.
Ooh, okay. Maybe we'll.
Do you want to talk about that first, or do you want to talk about the Islanders?
Who do you? So you have the Islanders in your top 3.
I do.
Okay, we'll save the Islanders then.
Okay.
Who do you have? So you have Penguins at 5. Who do you have at 4?
I have the Rangers.
Okay.
Which
so
I was kind of surprised. I'm curious where you have the Rangers, actually, but
I have them at 3.
Okay. Well, the thing is, I almost see them as a bit interchangeable with the Islanders. I don't have an issue with them having them at 3. That being said, I'm going to stick with my guns here. I think that the Islanders are a little bit better. At least I trust them a bit more than this Rangers team. And it feels weird to say they're going to miss the playoffs. But they are a worse team this year. And we have talked about it we've talked about it quite a bit. And I think in most of our discussions, the strange thing is that I generally have been the person defending them. I generally will be the person to defend this team. I think so many things have to go right for them to be even remotely close to the playoffs in this conference. And I don't know. I like the Islanders more. It really comes down to gut. Where these teams are going to be very close. I think this is going to be a tough fight for the 8th spot. But
I think they will be, but I'm just it's for whatever the last because they're going to be again, I think the Bruins should get a playoff spot before the Rangers do, like what I said before.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But looking at these two rosters, if we just want to,
it really is a coin flip, in my opinion.
I think the Rangers still do have a better roster. And I look at this a couple ways. I look at this, first of all, both teams have great goaltenders. But obviously when you're looking at a team with Shesterkin, they're going to get the edge. You're looking at a defensive core. Your defensive core...
what's the funny thing? Can we sit on that for a second? Because I actually would normally agree with you, but the funny thing is that I feel like the general consensus going into this year is actually quite the opposite. I think a lot of people are actually... If you look at a lot of goaltender rankings going into this year, which I've spent a lot of time on crying about the fact that Markstrom is nowhere close to the top 15. But I think you see a lot of Sorokin at 1. I'd say a lot more than you see... it is... Yeah, and it's something that caught me off guard. But the more you think about it, the more I kind of get it. I think...
the He's good.
I'm going to be
I don't know if I
swapping.
get.
I'm
I
going
don't
to be
know if I.
swapping between the Rangers and Islanders here on the Daily Face-Off quite a bit. I think that if you just look at it, I feel like I trust the Islanders' defense more. That has been the one thing that they've
Really?
been very consistent at. Well, yeah, they still have all the pieces that they've had the last couple of years that have made their defense so good.
Yeah.
Because hell, they've got
good.
Bo Horvat is one of the best defensive forwards in the league. Like, and
Yeah.
then you just go down this entire roster. This is going to be a very good defensive team. And then you stick a strong goaltender like Sorokin behind it. If he has the season people think he's going to have, I feel fairly confident in my pick at number 3.
Okay, I'm just looking down this roster in terms of.
Because just to be clear,
the
I'm just
Islanders.
thinking. I'm thinking about it like this. I think that the Rangers are a better scoring team. In this case, it's offense versus defense. I'm taking defense. You're taking offense. You can go either way on this one. I'm taking defense.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just thinking like taking defense. Now this is how the Islanders have gone. Have the Islanders ever been a great regular season team, even when they were making it to like the conference finals? No.
That's
they
fair.
succeed. They succeed
Well, it's
in
not
the
like
playoffs.
it's not
which
like
is,
I
that's
necessarily
where
have them
defense
being
succeeds.
a great. To be the
Okay,
third
but
spot
still.
in this, it's
But still, if I'm looking at it from a playoffs perspective, in terms of regular season perspective, sorry, yes, I completely agree with the assessment. The Rangers are going to be a much better scoring team. The Islanders are going to be a much better overall, especially more so considering their forwards alongside their defense. They're going to be a much better defensive team, especially with just how they've been coached for the last.
I think
however many
coaching
years.
is a big thing that you definitely have to hit on when you're talking about this Islanders team, because that has been the one really good strong suit for them where they've been able to overachieve plenty.
They've been
But yeah.
overachieving for so long, and I just think this Rangers team does have too much talent to miss the playoffs over a team like the Islanders. The Islanders are the kind of team where I look at them in the playoffs and say they can beat a team to pull off upsets, because that's where they're the best is in the playoffs. But I just don't know if they have what it takes to compete against a team like the Rangers in terms of the regular season. I don't see them putting up enough points. I don't see them putting up enough points.
That right wing depth, like I don't like that
For
Rangers
the Rangers,
offense. I don't like.
it's all about if their draft picks can perform. It's Capo, Lafreniere. I have at least some faith. I think I think you got to give these kids a little bit of time, because it's like these guys come into the NHL so young. Lafreniere is still only 22. Like you got to give him a little bit of time.
Okay.
To develop a little further. Capo can't be much older. I think they're just gonna get better with age.
Maybe Kako's probably 21.
Kako's also 22.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, and because Capo was even drafted earlier, so he was drafted younger. It's the kind of thing like, if you get a breakout season from either one of those guys, then they have this playoff spot easily.
I don't know. Lafreniere has hurt me so much before.
I know.
So I just look at this. I look at that top 6, and I just think like, it. Because listen. If they had one per player who I'd consider somebody they need to break out to be successful in their top 6, I can buy into that, right? It's the fact that on both lines they have players they need to break out. I don't know, man. I don't like it. It's just,
I don't think both of them need to break out. I think just one of them does.
Yeah, but then what? Do you slide Blake Wheeler up in that second spot, like a 40-year-old Blake Wheeler?
I don't think that's that bad of an option. I don't
know.
Blake
I don't
Wheeler,
think Blake Wheeler's
on the
second line winger anymore in the on a playoffs team. Anymore. How good did he do last year?
Remember, this is a borderline playoff team. This is not a world beater.
I guess, but like
Blake Wheeler put up 55 points in 72 games. Not bad.
Yeah, and he's gonna fall off that.
I don't think he's gonna fall off by that much. I think the
but even like
already starting to happen.
You think of what?
I think the fall off for him was already starting to happen. Like,
That's
I don't
what
think
I mean.
This is the fall off year. I think it's already happened.
But you think he's gonna repeat like 40, 50 points?
Maybe a little bit worse, but I don't think it's gonna be.
I don't know. I don't like it.
Much worse.
And when I say that I think the Islanders' defense is better, it's not me saying that I think that the Rangers' defense is bad. because any defense that's going to have Adam Fox and Jacob Trouba in their top four is going to be good. And then obviously you can't poke a hole in Shesterkin. He's one of the best goaltenders in the league. Probably top 2. Well, we can say that. Like, it's these two teams I think are just tough. Because the thing is, like I said, I don't have an issue interchanging either of them. But I will say that I am more confident than the Islanders just because, one, I buy into the system more. There's so many more question marks when it comes to this Rangers team, I feel like. I don't know. I like the Islanders more.
Yeah, okay. I like the Rangers more. I think for the Rangers, it's a little bit more of a do or die year. I think they'll be motivated by that.
Yeah.
I think if the Islanders miss the playoffs, there's going to be a lot less hoopla than if the Rangers do.
Yeah, well, I agree with that. I think it is a do or die year, but I think it's going to be die. I think it's gonna.
I don't know.
This is it.
I think they're going to die in the playoffs either way. But
yeah, that's true.
I don't see them missing.
Okay, fair. And then I think we only have the top 2 left, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
What order do you have the top 2 in?
This is gonna be one of my upsets, or one of my big thing. I have the Canes at 2, where I think I was curious whether me and you would disagree on this one because
we do.
We do? Okay. The thing is, I think it'll be respectfully disagreeing because I can totally see it either way. I think that these are 2 very, very strong teams. And this is another one where I totally think it's a coin flip. Because I love this New Jersey top line. I don't know how much I've talked about this with you or on the podcast. I love that Tyler Toffoli, Jack Hughes, Jesper Bratt. I think that's going to be a lot better than people think it's going to be. And then Timo Meier, Nico Hischier, Dawson Mercer. Like, God, that's going to be an insane top 6. And their defense is going to be
and Eric Holla on your third and 2. Oof.
Holtz is another good player. Like, you skipped right over him there, but that still looks good. Like, they are going to be a really good team this year. And hell, like, it feels like
Hughes starts to play.
I was about to say, I feel like I haven't heard his name come up in the last couple of years, or not last couple of years, sorry, last couple of months. But like this defensive, the sky's the limit with the Devils. It's kind of where I'm going with this. Like, I have been one to discredit their goaltending before, but I do think that it won't weigh them down enough because I don't even know how much more confident I am in the Canes goaltending, frankly. But I don't know.
Akira Schmid looked good in the playoffs.
He did. That is very true.
I don't know if it's a flash in the pan. It could be.
Yeah.
But what if it's not?
It's the same argument. Do you pay Aiden Hill after that insane playoff run?
Yeah.
Or is it another Matt Murray?
It's tough to say. I mean, Matt Murray still had good years after that. But
he had one.
Yeah, I do think in terms of what you say,
I'll name another one. Matt Jones or Martin Jones.
Martin Jones, he's
Martin
still
Jones.
like he's not terrible. But I'm looking at.
I don't know about that.
Okay, well, maybe it's a more of a case. But I'm looking at like I think respectfully disagreeing is a very good way to put it. I have the Hurricanes above. I just continue to have so much faith in them. They've let me down in the conference finals every year, which sucks. But they
are
a great team.
very good. Like it's the funny thing is we pretty much just went over the entire Devils roster, just like going like, oh look at that guy, oh look at that guy. But like the funny thing is you can do the same thing.
Michael Bunting added to that lineup. Michael Bunting feels like a Hurricane. I don't know what it is, but that feels. Like
he kind of does, doesn't he?
Like
hell,
you're going all the way to the third line with like. Again, not like Jordan Stahl's a world beater anymore, but like Jordan Stahl,
still,
Jordan
but
Martin,
him on
and Jesper Fast as a third
that's a
line.
good third line.
That's a good third line.
Hell, that defense is
as your
impressive.
Second line center. Oh, yeah. Adding Dmitry Orlov.
Oh yeah,
an underrated move. It's probably one of the.
We'll
best
see what
defenses
version
in the
of Tony D'Angelo you get. Hopefully, not the one with Twitter.
Yeah.
And I mean, this goaltending, the funny thing is this goaltending could be very good. Like, Frederik Andersen seems like the type of goaltender where he shows up sometimes he doesn't. Antti Ranta has been a lot more consistent, especially in the last year for them. So we'll see who they end up relying on more. I would put my money on Ranta, but we'll see.
They're both solid.
They're both solid. Yeah, no, that goaltender.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly could see them maybe splitting throughout the year, and probably Ranta towards the back end, probably getting more time just because I like him more as a playoff goaltender. But I mean, who knows? That's the thing. Like, they really, it's the same thing with Boston, right? Where they have two very good goaltenders who they could rely on if they need to. They just need one of them to be good. It doesn't matter which.
Yeah. Either way, no matter which of these two teams finishes first, I have them, not to tip the hand too much for the playoff stuff, but I have them pretty easily dispatching their first round opponents and meeting in a second round series. That will be a good series. That will probably go 7 and be one of the best series we've seen in a while. This is a good, fun matchup.
Let's see. I'm trying to see if I have the same. As in like Devils versus Canes in the second round?
Yeah.
I do as well.
It's a nice
yeah,
matchup.
like that's a pretty
it's
predictable
a nice
one.
matchup.
Yeah. It's gonna be fun, but we can move on.
It's gonna be so fun.
We are now at an hour 10, and we still have a conference left. Are we about to? We're gonna have the longest trick play episode ever, I think. Because let's make it even longer by giving me 10 seconds to check. But what is the longest trick play episode ever? Because it's the AFC.
I don't think the AFC preview was long. I don't think that's the longest. I think we had one more that was longer.
2 hours and 8 minutes is the I can check. I have it all right here. I'm gonna try and hopefully it doesn't pick up the fact that I'm listening to. Okay, so which one do you think? Oh no, it isn't. You're right.
I don't think it's the AFC
the most
one.
recent one would actually.
One.
Our most God, we can't be making this a habit. For my because yeah. So it's
the hockey segments that are making us go over now. It was the
think
football
you're right.
before,
yeah.
but it's our 40-minute top line
yeah.
segment.
It's going the other way now. That's a good. Well, no, me and you disagree on that.
That was a great segment. That was a great segment. If
but the funny thing is, you go back through it.
That's the best. You go back. Play.
It is on the channel. Just saying, it is a segment. It's about 30 minutes long. It's pretty interesting, but anyway, the record before was the AFC, and then we had a couple shorter ones, and then we basically tied it. We were just a minute under it with the NHL preseason one, and then we absolutely cleared it by 3 minutes with the Lillard trade, World Series, all that. Which I don't even remember talking. Did we talk about hockey in that one? I think it was just the baseball stuff that kind of put us over.
In the Lillard one?
Yeah, wasn't it?
That's the best line in hockey. That's the 40.
Oh, never mind. Yeah, you're right. Never mind. Okay. Whatever. We can move on. We are now moving into the Western Division. Do you want to save Pacific for last, just because that's going to be fun for us?
Yeah. Do you want to do your playoff predictions for the East before we move to the West, or are we gonna save that for later?
I kind of like doing playoffs last for this, because the thing is, because think about it like this, it's going to be another hour doing the West, right? So, like, I'm thinking of this from a watcher. I'm thinking of you viewer. You are not going to remember what our playoff predictions were by the end of this, because God knows I won't. So, because I'm not going to remember who you had. So we can do playoffs last, I think. I think that makes the most sense. But do you want to start in Central? Do that?
Sure.
Because that's probably less interesting. We should get that over with.
I think the Central will be our quickest one.
Okay, who do you have at number 7?
This is okay. But let me actually just bitch about this division for a little bit before we actually get into it. This division sucks. This is the least fun division. It's so boring. Even aside from the Avalanche, even the good teams are boring. The Stars are very good, but they're so boring. The Wild are good, but they're so boring. There's nothing exciting about this division. They all suck, and I hope they
other than the Avs.
I'd rather have the Kings and Canucks in the playoffs than this shit. I hate this division. Anyways, I've got the Coyotes in last.
Oh, that says a lot about how much you hate this division. Because there's
really
not.
Like this
Listen, this isn't even my bias. I do not like watching Canucks hockey. I'm gonna be straight up with you.
I'm in Vancouver.
So you kind of have to.
Cool shit. I might as well. I don't know. It'd be funny to watch the Flames whip them in a first round series. But
I would love that. That sounds amazing.
That would be so fun for me. Oh my god!
I know.
I get to show up to Rogers Arena and duck my way through the riots on the way out.
Get absolutely beaten to death in the streets.
Yeah, those Rogers Arena top decks go up pretty steeply. I'm gonna be falling to the ice. Only
I'm gonna be watching. I'm gonna be watching from my. I'm gonna be watching from my couch and just see Caleb flying from the fucking stands. Then you get thrown onto the ice.
The most it'll be the most dramatic end to a podcast of all time.
And strangely, it looks like a Flames jersey has been tossed on the ice after they won the series. Oh no, there's a person in there. That's what it's gonna be. That's gonna be
the red isn't just from the jersey. Oh God.
God, now I see what they mean about Flames fans bleeding red. Oh God. Okay, we can move on to the Central.
We'll get some publicity from it.
Oh yeah.
I'll write as I with my dying breaths. I'll write sub 2 trick play on the ice in my own blood.
Oh, that'd be great. It'd be like the worst. Oh, that'd be just terrific. Okay, Coyotes, they're at 8. Let's move to 7. Jets.
You have Jets at 7.
I have Jets at 7. I'm not big on the Jets.
Okay. I am not big on the Jets either, but at the same
time,
not
that low.
I can't ignore even with how good Bedard is probably going to be. I cannot say that the Chicago Blackhawks team, which I think was potentially one of the worst teams I've seen in a while last year. They made some good moves to elevate them to average, but I don't think they're going to be any better than 7.
Yep. I the thing is, I just don't like the Jets. Like, one second. I'm going to pull up their roster just so I can actually get some visual to work with here.
The Jets, I think, are going to be mediocre. They're just boring. They're not bad. They're just boring.
No, the thing is, I'd still say they're bad. Like, when I look at this team, sure, like, Kyle Connor's going to do fine. Mark Scheifele, he's fine. Like, this team's fine. Their defense is pretty bad.
They have a decent top 6. They have a decent top 6. It's like... I don't know. 7 feels low.
Boring is a good word for it.
It's really great. This is boring.
To be fair, I can say that my big upset thing was definitely saying that the Blackhawks were 6. I can definitely say that. Just having them in front of them. I just I don't know. There's a little bit of me that could see, the Bedard, that whole thing with Chicago, maybe elevating that team a little, but we'll see. Taylor Hall, baby! MVP season again!
It could happen. I mean, I was debating putting the Blackhawks higher. But as much as I can hate the combination of Blues, Jets, Preds in terms of how boring all those teams are, I can't say they're going to be
more boring.
I can't say, the Blackhawks I think will be exciting just on the fact of Bedard, but I can't say that they're going to be better than those teams just because I think they're more entertaining.
The media is going to be so annoying with that.
It's going to be very annoying.
Yeah, it's like LeBron times 2.
I mean, yeah, even just with today, where the
assist,
Bedard gets a secondary assist. I already talked about this, but he gets a secondary assist in the.
No, you didn't talk about it on the podcast. We talked about that.
Oh,
before.
Did I not?
Yeah.
Oh shit! Yeah. Well, Bedard got a secondary assist. It was a nice pass, but again, they're zooming in on him like he scored the goal.
To be fair, it is first point, so I kind of get it. But at the same time, maybe who scored the goal?
Well.
Do you even know who scored the goal?
I have no clue who scored the goal.
Yeah, exactly. It's... And I'm sure they weren't doing a good job showing who scored the goal either, if you don't even remember, right?
I don't even remember.
That's the thing. Every single point for Bedard is going to be like that. But we can move on. I think if we sit on the Jets, Blackhawks, Coyotes, who, we don't even have to talk about, then we're going to be here forever. Because the truth is they're all going to suck, and that's what it is, right?
I don't think we can talk about the Jets more later, maybe, because I actually don't have the same as you do.
Oh, really? Where do you have them? Or do you know?
I have them at. I mean, I have them at 5. We can talk.
Okay. Well, who do you have at 6 then?
I have the Nashville Predators. I had
the Preds above the Blackhawks. I have the and the Jets in this case.
It's the kind of thing where I just these teams are all going to be close. It's just these teams feels like I have a gun to my head.
Yeah, I like the Predators more. I like Saros
I don't know. It's just
as
like
a goaltender. Well, the thing is, I guess you could say the same thing about the
Saros
Jets.
is gonna. Yeah. The goaltending is a wash. I think
Yeah.
the Jets are a lot better than the Preds.
Although the Preds'
just
defense
'cause-
is certainly better.
The forward depth for the Preds makes
True.
me want to tear my eyes out. You get past
Yeah.
Forsberg and O'Reilly, and then it's just a team of nothing.
Forsberg, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's pretty rough.
Are you hopping on the Juuso Parssinen train or the Kiefer Sherwood train?
I'm not saying listen. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying that
This
I don't
division
know.
sucks.
It
This
does
division
suck.
sucks.
Do you want to just like kind of
This
run
is-
through this? Okay,
This
Blues
is a terrible
number 4.
division.
Who do you have at 4?
I have the Blues at 4.
Okay, great. Who do you have at 3?
Okay, wait. That's just. I do want to.
Okay, we can talk about the Blues. I also have the Blues at 4.
I don't think they're that bad. I think there's
No,
a
they're
considerable gap between. I think the gap. I think you're underrating the Jets quite a bit. I think the gap is between
yeah.
I think it's Preds, Blackhawks, Coyotes very clearly at the bottom, and I think the Jets are a step above that. Because you remember they were a playoff team last year, and they did not get that much worse. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs this year, but I don't think they're that bad of a team. And if they made the playoffs,
I don't
this
know.
year
I like
over
the Blues a
St. Louis,
lot more than I like the Jets.
I don't know. Like Blues Jets is an interesting comparison.
Because like at least when I look at the Blues, I at least like what I'm seeing. Where like I don't know.
It's just
man.
that the Jets
a lot
are
of it's
more boring.
gut. A lot of it's gut. I like the Blues.
I think the gut feeling is that the Jets are just such a boring team.
Maybe.
This whole division, which is why I
Maybe.
don't feel good about any of it. But I can't deny looking at like a top 6 of Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, Gabriel Velarde, who's not that bad, Nikolai Ehlers, Cole Perfetti, Nico Niederreiter. That's not that bad. I follow Lowry, Mason Appleton as a third line. It's not that bad. It's a pretty decent forward core. It's not. They're not going to be world beaters, but they're going to be better than the Preds, Blackhawks, and Coyotes by quite a bit, just because of those like first three lines. Because I'm looking at that third line of
I guess. Yeah.
Winnipeg, and I'm saying like, I
Well,
don't know any of those.
I
guys
think
could
I'm
be better
underrating
than-
Mark Scheifele a little bit too. Maybe that's it. I don't know.
Scheifele's a good player.
He's a
Scheifele's
good player.
He's
Yeah, no,
old.
I'm not-
He's old,
I-
but
he is
I
old.
wouldn't
Well,
have given.
he's not even that
I
old.
wouldn't have given. I wouldn't have given him that extension.
No,
but-
God, no. No, of course not. But I don't think they were going to keep him without that type of deal. He wanted
No.
long term.
No.
I have a funny feeling it was 7 years or he walks. Same thing with
Yeah,
Hellebuck.
Hallebuck makes sense.
Well, Hellebuck till he's 37 is hard to convince me.
It's pretty. That's pretty rough. I don't like it. I like it for the Jets. I don't like it for Hallebuck. Hallebuck
No.
wants to win something. He could.
No,
he's so much.
he's not going to win anything.
He could have fetched so much money. On
He
the
could
open
have.
market. We
Yeah.
talked about
Well, I
this
mean,
on
there
one
could
of our
be.
first
There's
pods.
who knows, right? Like, because the thing is, the Jets with a team like this, I just see them as being mediocre. Like, because right, Scheifele's fine, right? But like, and like you said, they're not going to make the playoffs this year. But do you see them? And they're locked into quite a few big deals. I believe Kyle Connor I think he got paid like 1 or 2 years ago. Like, they have a couple big deals on this team that are going to keep them just outside of contending, I think. And I don't know. I think they're going to be pretty mediocre for years to come. But I mean, who knows?
I'd agree.
Maybe I am
I'd
underrating
agree.
them.
I agree, but I do think you're underrating them. I think they're.
Okay.
I think they were in a weak Western Conference. I think they are a fringe playoff team for the next couple of years.
Okay. Well, who knows? Who knows?
I do
We
have
can
the.
move on.
I do have the Blues. I do have the Blues with the edge.
Do you have
think
who do you have
they're-
at 3?
I have a very boring. This is where I said to you before the podcast, my picks are very chalky.
Yeah.
Just to spill the beans on my entire top 3, it's the exact same as last year. I'm not
I don't even know
compelled
what
to
it was
change
last
it.
year.
I have the Wild at 3.
Okay,
which
well
is
then
what
me
they
and you
were
have the
last
same.
year. It's because none of these rosters have really changed all that much. I'm looking at
Yeah.
with this daily face-off thing. They show
So
you
just to be
who's
clear,
new, but they don't.
Wild Stars Avs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Like you're and I
I'm
agree.
look-
It's just how it is. Like that's the order these teams are probably going to be in. Like,
Yeah,
because the funny thing
there's
is the Wild's good.
None of these teams have that much turnover. I don't think there's going to be that much different. I think there is one big addition from like, I mean, you can talk about Jonathan Drouin all you want, but I think there's one big addition from all three of these teams that makes a difference. Yeah. I'll talk about Duchesne more a little bit later.
Well, let's talk about it now, honestly, because I seriously don't have anything to say about the Wild. Truthfully, I don't.
The Wild are such a boring franchise.
Well, it's just the type of thing where like you're totally right. The thing that I would use to describe it is nothing's changed. This is the same team I saw last year. Like, right? At least when I look at this Dallas team, it's like, sure, it's.
I think Duchesne
pretty much the same. I agree.
Duchesne brings a lot.
I think that Duchesne is very underrated. I think and just looking at the line they have him on there, Marchment, I could see Ben sliding in there. A line of Jamie Benn, Matt Duchesne, and Tyler Seguin, that could be a lot of fun.
It's a great
that could be a lot of fun. Like, and the funny thing is, we can talk all we don't even have to talk about how good Jason Robertson, Rupe Hintz, and Joe Pavelski is. Like, that is your top line set in stone forever. Yeah, like, I had that as my best line, right? Like, because that's just...
And I had it as my number 2, and I wasn't that,
exactly.
like...
You go down this defense, they're great. Goaltender, they've got Jake Ottinger, the absolute curse that he is. But, like, I mean, what else do you have to say, right? I just don't... Like, because the funny thing is, like you said, we could talk about Duchesne for quite a while and what he adds to this Dallas team. But truthfully, it just comes down to, he's going to add a lot.
Yeah, he's going to add more than
what they had before.
Minnesota does, which is like, Minnesota's better than the rest of the teams in this division, other than the Stars.
And the funny thing is, like, the Avs are the team that we probably should talk about the most because they do have the most turnover. But even then, it's still the same core guys, right? It's just like a couple depth moves, really.
Yeah, there's technically a lot of roster turnover, but I'm not looking at this as anything all that different from last year.
No, of course not.
The defense is the same.
Because, like, I've talked to you a bit about this. I know I'm higher on Drouin than you are, but I still think that this team's going to be easily number 1. I think that Dallas might put up a fight, but I don't think it'll be that big of a fight. I think the Avs are the best in. Not to show my hand, but I think the Avs are the best team in the West, and I don't think it's close. So.
I think the Avs are good. I think they're the best team in this division.
Okay.
I have them at 1. I think their depth is getting a little bit more tested. I do think they have some good pieces in there.
Thomas Tatar as a third line winger is pretty respectable.
Nice.
Miles Wood is pretty good, but that fourth line's pretty rough. I don't think Andrew Cogliano should not be on a team this good anymore.
Andrew Cogliano feels like someone who retired 7 years ago.
He was on the Ducks in 2016, and nobody from the Ducks on 2016 should still be in the NHL.
Yeah.
Other than John Gibson. John Gibson gets the pass on that one, but like the rest
John Gibson gets a pass on a lot of things.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, we'll see. You forget. I mean, the Colorado's obviously very good. They've been the talk of the NHL for the last few years, but they went out
and that defense.
They went out with a whimper last year.
That defense looks really good again, and it'll be like, God, oh my God, I could not talk enough about how much I love that top line, and then just Bowen Byram on that second pairing. Josh Manson's respectable. Like, that entire defense is nuts.
The defense is very good. I think they're going to be a very good team. I think they will. I have them as the number 1 team in the conference regular.
If either of us would have had anybody else, you could have taken us behind the barn. Like, at this, we shouldn't be talking about sports, right? Like, that's seriously how I look at it.
They're a great team.
They're a great team.
I think the Stars are closer than you'd think. Just not because the Avs are bad.
Oh, sure. Sure. Yeah, but I just don't think it's going to be that close. I think the Avs are still that spectacular. I think they have like that little bit more than what Dallas has. Do I think that that's truly what is going to happen in the playoffs? Who knows? You'll have to stick around, but I mean, we'll see. We can move on to the Pacific though. This will be a fun one, I think. Because we've got a lot to talk about, I think. This will be the next 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Welcome to hell. Okay, why do you have the Sharks at 8?
The Sharks suck. Oh my god, this is gonna be the worst team in the history of sports.
They're so bad. Oh my god. Have you seen their new jerseys? This is completely random, but like
they have new jerseys.
they have kind of new jerseys. This is like an alternate, I think. They look like practice jerseys.
Oh, is it not good?
They're not. Well, I like the logo.
Oh, I accidentally looked up Sharks New Jersey, and it's giving me a thing for Sharks in New Jersey.
That's awesome.
Are there
I'd have
Sharks
to
in New
find
Jersey?
it.
Oh.
I'd have to find it. I saw it on Instagram the other day.
I'm not
Where is
seeing
it?
a whole lot
I'm not
different.
seeing it either now. Why am I not seeing it? Was this just like something that I like? Come on,
Dreamt
I
up?
totally saw. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking now. I hope not, because I remember.
They don't.
One second.
I'm looking at them, and
I might have to. If I have to send it to you on Instagram, I'll do that. But we'll see. Give me a second. Oh no, I found it. Oh, is it a practice jersey? Is that
I think it might. Is it the one with the fin coming out of the water?
no? Oh, on the shoulder, yeah.
Okay.
But it's like it is a practice jersey, I think. But the reason I was confused is I could have swore that practice jerseys or custom practice jerseys weren't allowed anymore. Which is something that happened over the summer that I really wanted to talk on, but I don't think we ended up getting a chance. But if that's the case and they're letting an exception for that, then I'm kind of pissed. But we can whatever. Anyway, Canucks at 7. That's where I'm going. Yep.
I also have them at 7. As much as I make them that whole situation that we played through would be fine. I mean they've got like it's not bad. Like they're significantly better than the Sharks. Let's just give them that.
Oh yeah.
They're still going to be a frustrating watch. It's going to be frustrating.
Yeah. Like I've been fairly high on Demko in the past. He could one second. He's another guy I want to look at the stats for before I say anything too egregious, but I don't know how much I trust him necessarily as the official starter. I don't know how much I like it. Yeah, only a 901 save percentage, 316, 1 shutout. Not very respectable numbers.
I think the Canucks' depth is actually sneaky good. Pius Suter as a third-line center, I really like. Bavilier
I was about to say he's the guy that sticks out to me. That defense isn't terrible all the way through.
When you look at this roster, it's not as bad as you might think. I'm looking at the left wing. It's just brutal.
I would have a very hard time putting them in front. Well, you know what? I'm gonna pull up my number 6. So give me a second.
You're gonna put Canucks at 6?
No, I'm not. I'm pulling up my number 6 to take a peek at them.
Okay.
I'm
thinking.
I'd have a hard time doing that. I think. I still think I like the team I have at number 6 more, but I mean, you never know, right? You know what? I'd say it's very even between my 7 and 6. But we can. Do you want to move into 6?
Sure. I think I have a different team at 6 than you do. But
Ducks.
I do not have the Ducks at 6.
Okay. Well, do you have them higher up, or do you want to wait? Do you want to wait to talk about them then?
We can talk about them now. I don't think it's going to be that different. I still have them. I have them at 5. I have them still missing the playoffs.
Okay. Do you have the Kings at 6?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, well then, we can talk about that then, because I think they're pretty interchangeable.
The Ducks and Kings.
Yeah, I at least like on paper when I look at these two teams, because they have some young pieces. A couple things go right, and they could be okay, but
this prediction for me is that things go poorly for the Kings and things go very well for the Ducks, because I think the Kings have a better roster, especially like top agree. 9. That defense for LA is pretty rough though.
Yeah. Well,
that's pretty nasty.
Yeah,
I mean, not like it's that much better for the Ducks. I just trust the Ducks' young stars a lot more than I trust anything on the Kings. I think
okay.
They're just Trevor Zegras is just.
You trust Zegras more as a first line center than you do Kopitar at this point?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. I mean,
'Cause I
I'm
just think
not. I'm not
he's been
judging
proving
it. I just think it's. I think it's a conversation to have for sure.
It's a conversation, and I do think there's some interesting guys who are out right now for the Ducks that will come back in. Hopefully, I don't know how long term these injuries are, but you look Alex Killorn they have. I don't know how long he's going to be out, but he will be great as a veteran
Leo
presence in this lineup. Leo Carlson is a young defenseman that'll bolster that defense. That's not looking terrible. It's
I might. Is
Cam
Leo
Fowler,
Carlson?
Jeremy Ty still?
Yeah, he's a center.
Oh, is he a center?
Because like you said that so confidently that I was like, there's no way. There's no.
I'm thinking of Eric Carlson. Either way.
Maybe. Because I didn't.
And
I was thinking in my head,
when
like,
I look
I was
up
like,
when I look up
90%.
Leo Carlson on Daily Faceoff, all I get is a gif of Homer Simpson going into a bush. So
Incredible.
I was like, oh, I wonder what position Leo Carlson plays. Oh well, who knows?
Okay, well there you go. Well, he plays center. I was like, well, you even
That
had
still
me
helps.
confused for. To be clear, you had me question it because I was stuttering to say on whether I wanted to ask if he was to say I think he's a center because I was like, am I gonna end up looking really stupid? But I mean, yeah, no, I totally get it. Like, because I think he'll be good when he comes back.
Yeah,
It'll be interesting to see where he slides in this
Damn.
roster.
that's crazy. He's younger than me. You know,
Isn't that
man.
wild? You know what? Can we talk
crazy.
about this for a second? Because I had
Yeah.
a really big I feel old moment earlier today because I was watching a Connor Bedard interview. And this is a conversation. I think I've told you that, or I don't know if I've said this on the podcast. It's not like it's anything big, but I've said before that this is my last year playing competitive hockey. I know Simon Chiskovsky hockey retirement. Isn't that wild? Last dance, all that, you know. I've been playing for 14 years. That is the exact number of years of competitive hockey I've played. And the funny thing is, like, at this point, 90% of the reason I play is because my girlfriend, me and her have played on the same team for 3 years now, and this is her last year technically of being able to play it, and God knows my willingness to actually try anymore is completely out the window. So, and I got out there for the first game last Wednesday, and my knees I felt so old out there. Like I don't know what it was. And I know there's gonna be people watching this who are gonna be like, oh poor you, you're 18. But it was one of those things where it's like, you know what I mean? Like compared to when you are what you are as a kid. And then I hear like I watched a Connor Bedard interview the other day where he was like talking about how excited he was to play in the NHL, and he was like, you know, I've been as much of a new adventure this is. I have been playing hockey for 14 years, and I'm excited for another 20. I was like, good for you. you dick. Whatever.
It's crazy. Our NHL draft year has passed. That's so wild.
I know. Isn't that wild? Come on, Flames. It's not too late. I can get drafted in 19.
Yeah.
Have you? I'm going to have to send my tape. You should see me in rec. You should see my absolutely elite back checking, which is absolutely not existent at this point. But anyway, we can move on. I'm kind of happy we got rid of Ducks and Kings there in pretty much one foul swoop. Who do you have it for?
I think this is again pretty chalky. I have the Seattle Kraken kind of repeating what they did last
I do too.
year and sliding in at 4. Yep.
I have Kraken at 4.
I think they're a good lineup. Kyler Yamamoto on this team did not realize that. I think he's pretty underrated. I think he'll perform well there.
A lot of people, I've seen a lot of stuff about him where a lot of people seem to think they have a lot of really good depth on this team. I'll say that first. But
it reminds you of Vegas, not just because they're both expansion teams that have overperformed, but just in terms of how good the depth is. That was what's great about those Vegas teams.
The thing is, the thing that I did want to hit.
The
thing I did want to hit with this is I think that the Kraken absolutely have the potential to jump a couple spots here. I think out of all the teams we've talked about, I think a lot of these are pretty much like stuck in like a position where they might jump 1 or they might fall 1 or they might jump 2. I totally think if the Kraken, everything goes right for them, like Matty Beniers, I hate saying that last name. I always say it wrong. Beniers? Is that right?
Is it not Beniers?
Is it Beniers?
I think it's just Beniers.
Okay. Well, I just want to make sure I'm getting it right. Because I have a funny feeling I'll be saying a lot in the next 15 years. Because I think he's going to be a very good player. And I think if he comes out into that this season, we could see a really good Kraken team this year. Like, I cannot emphasize that enough. I think they could be really, really good. I'm not confident enough in it, though, to put them above the teams I have. All above the 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much it for me. I think that I'd feel weird putting them anywhere below 4, but I totally see the potential.
I think they're pretty in a tier of their own in this division because I've kind of been talking about groupings. I think in this division there's like Canucks, Sharks, Ducks, Kings. I think the Kraken are kind of in a tier of their own where they're not quite top 3, but they're significantly better than anybody else in the division. I think they'll make the playoffs, and I don't think it will be particularly close.
I have them making the playoffs.
I think they'll have a pretty good cushion for that.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're much better than the Kings or Ducks.
Especially with how weak this conference is in general. It's just not gonna.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Like, I don't disagree at all. I think it's the type of thing where the Kraken, the sky's the limits with this team. They have the potential to jump a lot of teams in front of them. And that being said,
that playoff run was inspiring. Like, their performance in the playoffs last year.
But the funny thing is, I'm not even thinking of their performance in the playoffs when I say that. I'm more just looking at this team on paper and thinking like,
I think it's both. It's a roster that's so full of depth, and it's a.
But they have a lot of players where like, let's say Beniers doesn't necessarily turn into a world beater in this season, right? He needs another year. I still think this team's a playoff team. I have them at 4. Like, to be clear, I have 4. I have them at 4 as like or not ceiling, like a floor.
A floor. Yeah, I would agree.
Their ceiling, I think, could realistically be. I think that they have everything that it takes to potentially win this division.
I'd agree. I would agree. I don't think
I don't think it is. I think at the end of the day, I think that this team, if everything goes right, because there are a couple teams above them where like there not as much needs to go right for it to happen, but if it goes right, this team will be a very hard team to beat out of the West, and could potentially give Colorado a lot of issues. Because like I said, I thought that Colorado was significantly the best team in the West. I think this Kraken team could give them a run for their money if they get that far. Like they
did.
Yeah. And I think they're even better, right? Like, I think it just comes down to that. I think they've improved quite a bit. I think they're going to... I feel like 4 is just because I'm going to sit them right on the floor, and I'm going to let them prove me wrong. Yeah, anyway, we can move on. I think this is where me and you are going to start different, if I were to guess.
You think so?
I think so. Who do you have at 3?
You have at 3.
Well, you go first.
Okay. I have... now... You may look at me and you may say, are you seriously going with another homer pick? And to that I say, I think this Oilers team is way too overrated to be better than the Flames this year. I'm putting them at 3.
Okay. I do not have the Oilers there.
I just don't have a lot of... confident, like they're gonna make the playoffs, and
we can have this conversation. Close. Well, the one thing I want to talk about with this Oilers team is I diss this top line a lot. To be clear, I talk a lot of crap about it. That second line is the best second line in hockey, and it's not close.
Yeah,
it's not even remotely close. I just want to say that this is probably the best depth we've seen from the Oilers in a long time, and that has been my main thing I like to beat on when it comes to their stuff. I don't like the defense. I will say that top line. I like Evan Bouchard. I like him as a defenseman. I like Darnell Nurse is fine. He's good. He's a top line defenseman. Brett Kulak serviceable. Brett Kulak is still very serviceable second line defenseman. Cody Ceci, you'll get away with it, and then on and so forth. Right? Like, it's just. Goaltending we can talk about all we want, where it's just the type of thing where like one of them needs to show up, it doesn't matter which. We've had a couple teams like that, right? Like I don't know. I think this
looking at
Oilers
this
team
roster,
is
it makes me
decent
think they're.
enough.
I think they're good. Like it's obviously like this is a podcast from Calgary. We're gonna be lower on the Oilers than most people. I just think like it's kind of like the Leafs. Maybe I'm not giving them enough credit.
I kind of want to wait to
season.
say where the Oilers are for me, but I will say that I think that they. I don't know. I have a hard time putting them out of the top 2, just because I do really like that offense. I think that they have a really, really. No matter what you think about Connor Brown and Evander Kane, Connor McDavid being on your top line makes your top 6 elite. And I think that, like I said, that depth is good enough. It'll get by. And I think that as all they need is their goaltending to show up, and they're top 2 to me. It doesn't take much.
Yeah, I don't know. I think when I'm looking at this Oilers team, they could be higher. Like I'm looking at it and I'm second guessing it a little bit. But it's just like I need to see. I say it's similar to the Leafs in that they are rolling out one of the best on paper lineups. But I just haven't seen it be proven. I haven't seen it be proven for the Leafs, despite the lineups they've rolled out, and I haven't seen it be proven for the Oilers. They can wax poetic about how they've lost to the team that's won the Stanley Cup the last couple years, but like I don't care. Show me on the ice. It's just with all of the hype and attention this team gets, you'd think they've won a couple cups by now, but they haven't shown anything like that.
So, do you want to? I'm trying to figure out how I want to do this here. So you have the Oilers at 3, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So who do you have at 2?
At 2, I have the Flames.
Okay.
Now, I could... This isn't even like... This is where I go gut feeling more than anything.
Yeah.
Because this isn't even because I do think... There's a couple of reasons I can give as to why I think the Flames will be a much better team. I think coaching, number one, especially with all of the stuff that's come out in the last few, like players. I was a bigger Daryl Sutter defender than most, but with all the stuff that's come out, the players hated it. Huberto has come out and said like he was not having fun, like it was one of the worst seasons mentally he's had since entering the league. And it's just like, I think it really affected everybody. I wouldn't be shocked if it affected Markstrom and he can bounce back from that. I wouldn't be shocked if it was basically everybody. But
it's not exactly like Daryl Sutter's known for being nice to his goaltenders, just to point it out.
Yeah, exactly. I think with this Flames team, I think their lineup is worse than last year, but I don't think it's all that far removed from the lineup that people were saying was going to win the West. I think losing to Foley is huge. I think that's really rough. But I also think that adding in some of the youth is going to perhaps balance it out. I think Igor on that second line is rough right now, but I'm hoping that we can balance that out a little bit. I hope we see Peltier come back healthy, and I think that can provide a huge boost to this lineup. I'm really liking it. Like, I do think we have some really good depth. If the young players perform, we've got, again, like, I think on defense we still have one of the better D-cores in the league with Anderson, Weegar,
for sure.
Hannafin, Tanev, Zadorov.
I think
those
this
five
Flames
are great.
defense doesn't get talked about enough because
I don't think
at
so
the end of the
either.
day, I fully think that that top 4 is very, very good. I think Mackenzie Weegar has turned himself into one of the best defensive defensemen in the league. I think that doesn't get talked about a lot. That Noah Hannafin, Rasmus Anderson defensive pairing will always be very solid. Zadorov has turned into a good player on his own right. And then you could really throw anybody next to Tanev. We've seen that. It doesn't matter who's there, Tanev will shut it down, right? Like, he's the guy he's all reliable, right? And he'll continue to be that for the Flames. He's the perfect, ideal third pairing defenseman. And I will say, do you want to know where I have the Flames?
Do you have them at 1?
I have them at 1. And I want to get it. I want to have the chance to talk about it.
We're biased. I don't think that's that. Because here's my other thing. I go through all the reasons why I can like objectively say that I think they'll be very good. But there's also an underlying aspect of this team in the past 5 years has been very predictable, following a pattern. They will be very good,
and I wanted to say
underachieve, and then they will be very good again when nobody expects
I've
it.
said a lot of these things before, and I'm gonna repeat a lot of things I've said in either past podcasts or conversations with a lot of people. But when I look at this team, I see a lot of things, and a lot of them are very good things. I think this is very similar to how I felt about the 2014-2015 Flames. I've said that before. I think we have a lot of very young players who all have a very big chance, in my opinion, of breaking out. For example, I think Coronado is going to be a very if we do fall into the potential that I think they have, I think Coronado is going to have an incredible rookie season. Probably top 3 for the Calder would be my prediction, if not top 2. And the funny thing is, I know how confident people are in the Connor Bedard Logan Cooley battle. I think in January we're going to be talking about Bedard Coronado. Because and believe me, I'm high on Cooley, but I think what I've seen from Coronado, and I know, look at the jersey I'm wearing. I'm biased, but like when I see this team, I see a team that can win. I think this is a very, very, very good team if everything goes right. Because like I said, that defense is incredible. I could say a lot of things about that defense. I think it's going to be really good. I think that a big issue that the Flames had last season was power play, and I hope that will be solved under Marc Savard. I think we've already seen quite a bit of that, where we're just seeing a different style. We're seeing and like you said, like how bad the coaching was last year has to be talked about. Because even with think about it like this, a thing that I remember hearing a lot is like just think about how we were nearly a playoff team last year as well, right? We were close. Imagine,
and we had so much go wrong.
Imagine this team where everything goes right. Is kind of where I'm going with this, right? Where I think that if everything goes right, Jacob Markstrom bounces back, Dustin Wolf ends up sliding in that backup spot, ends up being really good in that position. Hell, even if Vladar ends up having a good year, like
Vladar isn't bad. Like
he's not bad. I've been hating on him a lot. Well, not even hating. It's just the fact that I really like Dustin Wolf as a goaltender. I like him more. But I wouldn't be mad if we saw Vladar as backup again. The only reason I would ever be mad about it is the fact that I don't like I don't know how to explain it. I don't like the fact that we have to slide him in front. I don't like that you can't have 3 goaltenders on the roster and them all get playing time. Yeah. That's the thing I'm trying to find, right? Where it's just like he's good. I think the Flames. And Conroy, I think, kind of showed his hand a little bit with this quote, but he said that they're not just going to go up and trade Vladar just because everybody wants them to. They're going to wait until somebody shows their hand. Like a big goaltender getting injured, and then he can slide in a spot. Cough, Tampa! But anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the Flames should be working the phones to get Vladar to Tampa.
Yeah, like that's an easy one.
I think if Vladar goes to Tampa, they immediately are like I could think of switching them for the Leafs just in terms of I think that will make their first 2 months significantly better because Vladar.
I agree.
I
like Vladar a lot more than I like Johansson. I can tell you that for free.
Yeah, I would agree. Even though I do think,
but like
Johansson
even I just think, like, the funny thing is I think the Flames have quietly solved a lot of the issues they had last year. Where I think that the one thing that nothing changed with is going to be goaltending. That's going to be the biggest question going into this season, where that was the big issue last year. We just couldn't get consistent goaltending. Markstrom letting in first shot goals, us sucking in the first period, all of these things, right? Like, they just were so consistent, where I feel like a lot of them, like, with goaltending, I almost feel like it's more a culture thing. And now that we have Sutter out of the building, now that we have a more youth-centered culture, let's say Markstrom does suck. I guarantee you Husk is going to be quicker to pull up Dustin Wolf than Sutter was. I guarantee you.
Oh, yeah. Well,
like
Sutter just hates anybody who's young. Like,
give it 10 games. If Markstrom sucks through the first 10, we will see Wolf in the roster. That is my promise. I think that is the one thing that I see with this team. I think that there's a lot of potential just in the fact that we will no longer have that stubborn coach still who is willing to change anything, even if it wasn't working. I think we're finally going to be able to see it. Just the Flames under good coaching, right? Because, okay, look, follow me here, right? Just think about it like this. On paper, all of these players, you're just looking at the talent. I like it a lot. Just look at it like that, right? Because Huberdeau, Lindholm, Dylan Dubé, Dylan Dubé obviously weighs down that first line quite a bit. He's still a good
I
player.
think Dubé is still a great player.
He's still a great
pretty
player.
Underrated.
He's underrated. He's not a first line player. We can both agree on that. Lindholm has had a lot of very good years. Huberdeau has had a lot of incredible years. Like, and you were hating on Sharon Govich being in that second line spot, but to be honest with you, I like him in the second line spot more than I like Dubé in the first line.
Oh, I need Mangiapane up in that second line.
Okay, I agree with you there. But, like, I like Mangiapane more than I like Sharon Govich. But I think either of them is more than respectable at that second line spot if they show up. Because that has been Mangiapane's issues at times, where we've seen him have, here. I want to get the stats right on this, so I'm actually going to... Give me a second. Quick Google search. But Mangiapane had a really, really good season in that year that we lost to Edmonton. Where he had... One second. Give me a second. He had a very solid 35 goals, 20 assists. In that year we lost to Edmonton in 2021-2022. Last year he had a fall off where he only had 17 goals, 26 assists, 43 points. I think that if he can get... Think about it like this. If he bounces back and goes... Because he's a player that not a lot of people are talking about, I don't think. Where he absolutely could bounce back. Right? Like, that's another guy who could bounce back. Because it's not like he... The argument people are making about Lindholm is the fact that he's no longer playing with Gaudreau and Gaudreau was amplifying his stats. Mangiapane never played with Gaudreau. And he didn't play with... I don't believe he played much with Tkachuk either. Like...
No.
Like,
well,
that's,
a little bit, but
like, not much. Like, I would definitely not make the argument that either of those stars amplified his stats. I think it's totally just a culture thing. Where I think that if he is given the opportunity, he will bounce back. And I think that is the case with a lot of these Flames players, and I actually feel fairly confident in my pick of having them at number one.
I agree on a lot of cases. I think having them at one is not that outlandish, especially just because I think the historical precedent for it is huge. Again, after seasons where they were immensely disappointing, they came back 2018-19, put up 107 points, the best record in the Western Conference. The next year, they put up even more points, 111, first in the division, third in the conference. It's a thing with these Flames. They are kind of...
Hell,
flip back
2003, 2004, 29-36 in 2003. Went to the finals in 2004.
Yeah, and it's the kind of thing... Again, this team, I've talked about it before in terms of this team just being an enigma in terms of how much... Even though the roster is actually not that different other than young players coming in and Toffoli leaving, I think there's a lot different in terms of how much they underachieved last year. But I think this team, I don't have them first, but I think this team will be a lot closer to what they were predicted to be going into last year, which is why I have them second. I think them and the Oilers, though, will be very close, and I think we will get some of the best Battle of Alberta.
That's why I wanted to say, this is why I wanted to wait to reveal my Oilers pick, because I have them at 2. I actually have the Golden Knights falling down to 3, which I think might be the most controversial take that I will have, considering they just won the Cup. They are a very good team. But I think that if everything goes right for the Flames in this situation, I think that they will absolutely have the potential to be up there fighting for that top 3 spot with the Oilers and the Golden Knights. I will say that I think all 3 teams are very close in talent. I think that, especially if, and keep in mind, this is with the grain of salt with the Flames, where they really need to live up to it, right? They really need to show up. But I think if they show up, they absolutely can fight with the big dogs in this division.
Yeah, I think I have the Golden Knights at 1. I think that they live up, like, coming off the Cup, and I think, obviously, I think there's room for disappointment. I don't think they're the kind of team that's built to go back-to-back, as you'll see, but I do still think they have some great depth. They have a great, there's some good players on defense. You're looking at, especially when you're looking at, like, Pietrangelo, you've got Whitecloud and Martinez currently on IR, but they're also really good. Their big question, obviously, in goaltending, what do you even do? Like, Aiden Hill obviously had a great playoff.
I think you gotta trust Aiden Hill off the bat. But the thing is, I feel like if I'm Vegas, I'm not necessarily too scared, just because
No.
I mean,
well,
it's
then you
the
have
type of
Logan
thing-
Thompson, who
I've
was
said
great to
this
start the season last
1,000 times. 1,000 times. All you need is one of these two guys to be decent, and you will win. It doesn't matter if it's Aiden Hill. It doesn't matter if it's Logan Thompson. It just doesn't matter, right?
And I think both of them can. I think both of them can and will be. Because like Logan, we forget that Logan Thompson was great to start last year.
He was very good.
Like, he was very good. And again, Aiden Hill, like both of the NHL is very much a what have you done for me lately league. And it's like, what was the last performances we saw from either of these guys? And both of them, when we last saw them, were very good. So while there's huge potential for them to fall off because we haven't seen a big sample size, you're looking at both of these guys and thinking like, from what I just saw of them, I have a lot of faith in this tandem and at least one of them paying off, like just like you said.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think they're still gonna be a great team, especially with how much they've kind of dominated the regular season in the last little bit. Since they've been a franchise, really only missed the playoffs once, I believe. I have a lot of faith in them. I think the Flames and Oilers are a little bit more volatile. But I could see these top three: Golden Knights, Flames, Oilers. Me putting the Oilers in last does not mean I don't really believe in that team. I think they're overrated just in terms of how much cup hype they're getting. But again, I don't think if they're first at the end of the year, it's not like I'm going to be shocked. They've got McDavid and Draisaitl. I'm not going to be shocked. These three teams I think are very interchangeable, and even extending it to the Kraken, I think these four teams
I was
are
about to
pretty
say,
much a lock for the
I
playoffs.
think that the Kraken absolutely can slide right in there. Like
it's such a clear top four.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, absolutely. It is absolutely a tale of the first half and the second half of this division. But anyway, we should move into the playoffs because we got a lot to talk about now still. So, this is going to take forever. I actually think that maybe what we should do is we should go through, maybe we do like all of your playoffs and then we do all of mine. And then we can get to that. Do you want to do that?
I could just monologue for a bit.
Yeah. Well, either you monologue first or I monologue. It doesn't matter.
I'll monologue first because my headphones are about to die, so then I can chill for a little bit. Okay. So I'm looking at based on we'll start with the Eastern because you don't want to focus too much on the West all at once. My playoff series are looking like this. I'll stop when you know what we can do, Simon. We can stop when we get to our Stanley Cup final matchups, and then we can.
I was gonna say, there. I like that. Yeah.
So my first round series I have Leafs as the top team in the conference. They're playing the Panthers.
Okay.
And I have my 2v3 is Lightning Red Wings, which I love as a series because that is the Stevie Y built team series, and I think that will be very interesting. Hurricane Sabres, which I think is another great series in terms of young up-and-comers against the team that's kind of been consistent the last few years. And then I have a repeat series of Devils Rangers. And I guess the Leafs Panthers is a repeat series too. Going through, I think the Leafs get the better of the Panthers in this one. To have that kind of playoff magic again for the Panthers, going up against the team
I'd have a hard time.
As good as the Leafs, I have a hard time picking against them. I think with the monkey off their back of not having won a first-round series, I think this Leafs team will play a lot better. There's just so much emotion in winning that first series that even against the Panthers this is one of the best predictions I've ever made, and I'm very disappointed that I didn't make it to anybody other than my dad. Was that everybody's so hyped on the Leafs. There's all the "we want Florida," and immediately after they won that series, I said they are immediately going to go down 2-0 to the Panthers.
I think a lot of people were saying that, where it was just like so cocky.
You how quick you forget how much hype the Leafs had going up against a Panther squad that nobody expected to get past the first round. I saw so many people thinking the Leafs were just going to thrash that opening round series. But I think in this case they will get by the Panthers. The Panthers will put up a fight because they're a frisky team, but I have them moving on. My next round, Lightning Red Wings, you got to have an upset in there somewhere. I have the Red Wings moving on against the Lightning, which I think will be one of the most cathartic experiences a general manager can ever have. Because remember, Stevie Y left the Lightning before they got good in terms of obviously they were still great, but in terms of winning Stanley Cups, he left for the Red Wings before that. I think it will be such a cathartic experience to beat a team like that. I again, it's a bit of a stretch because I think the Lightning are a better team, but in terms of playoff hockey, anything can go either way. And if I'm going to pick one big upset, that's the one I'm going to pick. Hurricane Sabres, I don't think this will be too close. I don't think it's the Sabres time quite yet. Too many young pieces, and I just think the Hurricanes are too good of a team for them to overcome. And then I have Devils Rangers. I don't think the Rangers should even be here in the first place. Devils in 4. Moving on to the second round, Leafs Red Wings. I think this will be kind of a reversal of what happened last year, where in terms of there's the Leafs and then there's the Red Wings coming off of a big upset. I think because they're not so high off their own fumes, off of a first round win, I think the Leafs will be a little bit more focused. I think the Red Wings are a good matchup for them in terms of just how much more talented the Leafs are. I see the Leafs taking that in not a particularly close series. I think Hurricanes Devils will be one of the best series of the playoffs because I think in terms of a top 3, I think Hurricanes Devils Leafs is pretty clearly what you've got coming out of the East. I have Hurricanes probably in 7. I think the Devils are a great young team, but I think the Hurricanes just have that little bit of extra playoff experience. The Devils, while they have the talent to make it this far, I do think playoff experience means a lot, especially if it comes down to a Game 7. I have the Hurricanes taking that. Leafs Hurricanes is what I have for my Eastern Conference final. Now, I hate to do this because I have so much faith in the Hurricanes. I love them as a team. Wow. I just with how bad they've been in the last few Eastern Conference finals, they have not won a game. They've been swept every single time. I don't think they will be shut out again, but I think this Leafs team will be really good. I think this will be a battle. But
wow.
I mean, hold. I won't say hold me to it because I think the East is a bit of a
toss up.
It's a bit of a not even just a toss up. I think it's just a death grinder in terms of all of the teams in here being, other than the Rangers, being very, very good. Other than, I mean, my Red Wings pick in terms of even getting in the playoffs is a bit of an upset, but if they play to that level in that division, I don't think it would be shocking for them to go all the way to the Cup Finals. Like any of these teams could, but I think the Leafs, in terms of their talent, and I think I don't think you can, because again, hockey is a mental game, especially in the playoffs. Getting the monkey off of your back of finally winning a first round playoff series means a lot. And I think this, as much as Leafs fans can say every year, this is our year, this is our year, this is our year, I do think that's kind of stupid. But I guess I'm echoing it because I think this is the year that the Leafs make it to the Stanley Cup Finals coming out of the East. Will they win? I don't know. We'll get to that. If you have I don't know if you have any comments on that before I move to my West Side, Simon.
I don't know. The Leafs going all the way to the Cup is wild to me because as much as I do like them, I can't, not in my wildest dreams, imagine them getting that much playoff success. But that's, that, I don't disagree with much.
It's been a rough journey, but I just think if they manage to hit the Panthers in round 1, and then, like, in this specific situation, if they end up drawing the Lightning, that's a little bit harder, but I think just that hurt. I do have a little bit of a thing for how good that Hurricanes Devils series and how much that's going to potentially take out of a Hurricanes team. I just think they'll go into that Leaf series a little bit flat, and I think they have a little bit of a monkey on their back too in terms of them not having the playoff success that they've needed. Either way, Leafs Hurricanes, one team is going to get playoff success that they have so desired for so long in terms of breaking through that threshold. It's difficult to imagine because again, the Leafs haven't had this kind of playoff success in our lifetimes, in our parents' lifetimes. You have to go back to our grandparents' lifetimes to see them starting to have that kind of success in terms of winning cups or getting
anywhere.
I mean, they had a couple. They had a finals run, I think, at some point in there, but it is tough to see.
And they're
but I
still
do
mad
think
about it.
If there's any year for them to go this far, I mean, I it's not, in terms of their roster, it's not that implausible. But that's as much as this is a prediction, let's stop crowning them before they get there. Like, as much as I think they will get to the Stanley Cup Finals, like, come on, guys. Like, I've seen too much of Sportsnet at this point. It makes me feel a little bit sick to predict it, even though I think it will happen. It just, like, come on, guys. Let's just let the poor guys live for a little bit before you start crowning them champions of the world. Anyways, I'll move on to my West. My first round, I have Golden Knights. Will I change this? For the sake of my bracket, I won't. This implies that either the Kraken finish below the Blues, which I don't think will happen, or the Golden Knights finish above the Avs, which I also don't really think will happen, but I'm going to keep it the same just because I can. I have Golden Knights Blues in the first round. That's not going to be particularly close. Golden Knights in 5. That's not an interesting matchup. Flames Oilers. This is going to be a good series. The Battle of Alberta in the playoffs last time was a little bit disappointing, other than the first couple games. Not just because I'm a Flames fan, but you would have liked to see the series go a little bit longer. The Flames underperformed quite a bit in that series. Yeah. But with the Flames have this series at home. I think this will go to 7. I think they're two very evenly matched teams. The Oilers got the upper hand last time. I think the Flames do here, but it will be I think this, either way, even if the Flames, like as you say, go to the one spot or whatever, so they don't match up in the first round, I think they're going to match up at some point. And that series will be amazing. I think this will be the Battle of Alberta we've all been waiting for. I think it'll go to 7, and it will. I have the Flames winning, but if the Oilers win, again, I'm not shocked.
The thing is, McDavid, I think, is such a game changer in those types of games. In like
it's
that
so
third
tough.
period, game 7, there's no one else you'd rather have, right? It's that
it's
type
so
of conversation.
It's very tough to predict against him. But I think the Flames, for as little playoff successes they've had, I think they get this one.
Oh, yeah.
I think it can come down to goaltending, too. How much do I trust Markstrom in the playoffs versus Stuart Skinner?
I don't know how much I trust Markstrom against the Oilers.
It's a tough conversation to have. Maybe Wolf's starting at this point. That's what's hard about projecting playoffs out this far. But as of right now, I have the Flames in 7. Moving on to another series, Avs Kraken, a repeat of last year in more ways than one. I have the Kraken beating the Avs yet again.
Wow.
I think this Kraken team is built for the playoffs in terms of their depth. I don't like the Avs' depth nearly as much. They obviously have the stars, but like you said before, this Kraken team beat them last year, and I think they're even better now. I think it'll be another close series. It went to 7 last year. I wouldn't be surprised if it went to 7 again. But either way, I have the Kraken coming out on top. Stars Wild, again, a repeat of last year. This is significantly less exciting because I just hate the way generally both of these teams, but more so the Wild play hockey. And the Stars are another one of those teams that is just so good in the playoffs. Oh my God. You forget how good they've been in the playoffs. But they've been consistently making it to either the conference finals or the Stanley Cup finals for years. And I don't think that's going to change. Stars in 5. My Western Conference is significantly less interesting. Flames Golden Knights. I think that I went back and forth on it. But I think if the Flames can get... Yeah.
Oh, is this second round at this point?
This is second round.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
I very much brushed over the Golden Knights beating the Blues. But in terms of how the Flames match up against the Golden Knights, I think it'll be another tough matchup. Because I think that, again, the top 4 in the Pacific is really rough. But I think the Flames can pull it out. I think if they can beat the Oilers, they can't they can beat the Golden Knights as well. I think they will be making it to the Western Conference Finals, the furthest they've been in a long time. But don't hold your breath too long. Kraken Stars. Again, another repeat from last year. I think the Stars are just too good in the playoffs for the Kraken to beat them again. It's another repeat from last year, where last year went to 7. I wouldn't be surprised if this one does too. But I think the Stars have just been too good in the playoffs for too long, and I think that addition of Matt
they're
Duchene,
even better.
is going to be huge, especially come playoff time for them. And with how Jake Ottinger performs in the playoffs, I don't see anybody beating them. So I have them beating the Kraken, Flames, Stars in the Western Conference Final. This is where the Flames fall for me.
Yeah.
It's a repeat of a series they've had a couple times, and the Flames have lost the first one in the first round, came back, beat them in the Game 7, but I think the Stars are going to take this one. The Stars are, again, such a good playoff team. I think it's the first series, theoretically, where the Flames... this is assuming Markstrom plays up to his potential, which I think he will. But it's the first series where the other team has a definitively better goaltender, and I think that will mean a lot in the long run. The Stars are more battle-tested, the Flames have significantly more young players, and the Stars have just been so good for so long in terms of the playoffs, but I think they will make it to the Stanley Cup Final this year for a Cup Final of Leafs Stars.
I was about to say, that is an interesting final, because there's a lot to talk about there for sure. Do you want me to just hop right into mine, and then we can...
Let's do it. I'll charge my headphones
Okay.
a little bit.
Okay, sure. Well, okay. We'll see how this goes. So, first off, I'll start in the East. I'll do the same thing that you did. Your phone did get knocked over. We are looking at the ceiling. This is live play ceiling cam.
There we go. Oh.
Okay, so we have Leafs Bruins. I don't know if you remember the fact that I had the Bruins barely sneaking in, which I think is absolutely terrifying if you're a Leafs fan. And I love that.
That's rough.
Yeah. So right off the bat, I have the Bruins beating the Leafs in the first round. So we can move on to the Devils and Panthers. So the Devils, Panthers, I think this is going to be a really good series. I think this is going to be close. I have the Devils pulling it out. If I were to give a prediction, I'd probably say it'd be in about 6. I think that it's the same thing that you said, where it's the type of thing where the Panthers were obviously really good in the playoffs last year, and I don't know how much I believe that they will repeat it. I don't know how much I like it that much. We'll see what happens, though. I'd say Devils in 6. Then this one I think will be a really good series. This is Sabres and Lightning. I think that the Sabres are going to give the Lightning a really good fight, but this is another one where I think it'll only go to 6, and I think the Lightning will take it. I don't know how much I have to say on this. Lightning are just still a better team. Sabres making it to the first round in this division and conference is honestly a testament to how much they've grown as a team alone, and I don't think they should take a first round exit as a sign of anything for the future. Then I have Canes Islanders. I have Canes winning that one. I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory. They're just the better team. The Islanders are very good, and they've had a lot of success in the playoffs, but so have the Canes. I don't think they'll lose in the first round. Then, stay in the East. We'll stay in the East. I'll get my Eastern Conference out of the way first. So, I have Bruins and Lightning. Yeah, not close. Probably 4, if I were to give a prediction. Then I've got the Devils and the Canes. This is another series that you have. Hurricanes and Devils. You had this one as well.
Yep.
We both agree that this is going to be one of the best series we'll see all playoffs. It'll be really, really good, really, really close. But we disagree on the outcome. Ooh. I am actually going to take the Devils in this one. I'm going to take a little bit of a different route, which means that I have the Eastern Conference Finals will be the Lightning versus the Devils, which I think is a really good series. I think that's back-to-back really tough series for the Devils, and I have them winning both.
Ooh.
I know. I need a shocker. That's going to be my big shocker out of the East, is the fact that I don't think anybody that anyone is really predicting right now. is going to be the one to pull it out, and I think the Devils have it. I think they absolutely, if they're going to pull anything out of their ass, I think they totally can this year. I think they have all the talent in the world. That top six, like I said, is nuts. I think they have a lot of talent. I think they have all the talent that they need to beat the Hurricanes and the Lightning, or the Bruins for that matter, if they absolutely need to, but, probably not.
It's certainly an interesting prediction. I think the Devils are such a young team that it's difficult for me to project them going that far.
Yeah,
but it's not like they don't have the talent for it.
They don't have. It's not like they don't. Like with how high people have been on Jack Hughes in the last year, it's strange to me that I'm not seeing more of these predictions. Where I think this is going to be his coming home party a little bit here, where I think he's going to really break out. I think he'll actually. He was good last year. I think he's going to be really good this year because they're giving him a really good true sniper in Tyler Toffoli on that wing. We've seen what he can do without one of those playmakers like him, right? I think this team's going to be really good. I think they have what it takes. I think that Lightning series will be really close, to be clear. Again, I think the Lightning could totally pull that out. But I want a couple upsets. I want to have fun. So we're going to put the Devils up there. So, if we want to move over to the West. I have, my first series is Avs and Blues. So a little bit different than yours. Obviously, you had Vegas and Blues. I think it's going to be about the same outcome. I've got the Avs pulling it out pretty easily. I don't think the Blues will give them much issues. This second one is more interesting to me, and this is where my the funny thing is I am predicting a lot more regular season success for the Flames. You are predicting a lot more playoff success.
Postseason.
Yeah, postseason, what have you. I have them going out against the Kraken. Because that
Against who?
Against the Kraken. Because that is such a tough first round series. I think that they totally, like you said, the Kraken is a team that's built for the playoffs. I think they're going to do really well. I don't know. It's going to be close. It's going to go to probably 6 or 7. I think that the Flames put up a good fight. But at the end of the day, I don't think it'll matter. I think the Kraken will end up pulling out. I honestly think that might be a harder series for the Flames than the Oilers, truthfully. I think, but hey, that's another one where it could potentially go either way. But we'll see.
Yeah. Oh my God, my camera.
After that, I have Stars and Wild, which unsurprisingly, again, same thing. Stars win it. Not much to say on it. You pretty much covered all of it. The Stars are great in the playoffs. They will beat the Wild. It's not much of a conversation. Oilers and Golden Knights. This one is tough. This is a this is going to be a tough series, I think, for both teams involved. I have the Oilers winning this one. Obviously, it's one of those things where it really could go either way because they both have a lot of stars. They're both really good. In this case, I'm going to side with the Oilers. We can move into the second round. The thing is, if I take 10 years explaining every single pick that, frankly, I made a lot of my gut when I just look at these, then we're going to be here forever, so I'll try and get through these fairly quick. Second round, I've got the Avs and the Stars, which I think is an absolutely ridiculous series.
That's a good series.
That is a really good series. That's the two best lines in hockey, arguably, going up against each other.
You like to run more than I do. But.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like, it's going to be a barn burner. I don't remember if you had Avs and Stars going up against each other. Do you?
I had Kraken and Stars because I had the Kraken take.
I think that's a similar series in just the fact that it's going to be very close. You had the Kraken coming out in that one. I actually have the Avs beating the Stars.
Wow. Okay, so my cup final.
Your cup pick's out. Well, to be fair, it's out on the other side too. It was out super early.
Yeah, you brushed over that one, which is fair. I mean, I think if the Leafs played the Bruins in the first round in mine, I don't know if I'd go any different.
Well, that's the thing, where it's just the type of thing where, like, I want to say it's a joke, but it's really not.
If you have as much trauma against one specific opponent as the Leafs do against the Bruins in the playoffs, I don't know.
It's not a joke.
Seriously?
You would be an
idiot. Going to the Cup Finals, and I don't think they'd beat the Bruins in a first-round playoff series.
It's just too much, man.
It's too much to overcome.
Yeah. Anyway, third round. Conference finals. Or no, it's not. Kraken Oilers in the second round. This is another good one. I don't remember if you had these teams going against each other.
I had the
can't
Oilers out in
remember.
the first round.
That's right, you did. I have the Oilers beating the Kraken here, which means that the Oilers once again are heading to the conference. I think that I don't know. This just comes down to I think it's so hard to win a series against a team like a player like McDavid, especially with the depth and help that he's going to get this year, especially if like things work out for that team. Obviously, I'm relying on a lot here where it's just going to be the type of thing where I mean it's again, the Oilers need a lot to go right for them here. I think they're going to be good. A lot of people are overhyping them. I think they'll live up to a lot of it. We'll see though. Third round, conference finals, Avs and Oilers. I got the Avs. I think it's going to be a repeat of the last time the Oilers made the conference. I think that while they haven't proved, I don't think they're a better team than Colorado. I think that this will be Colorado's year. They're bouncing back. They're going right back to the finals. And that means, for anybody who's paying attention, Devils and Avs, which, if you know anything about 90s hockey, you'll know that that's a nice series. Which is
a throwback.
I remember when I built out this this playoffs this bracket, I remember thinking to myself, oh, I actually really hope that happens because that would be insane. Okay,
That would
so
be
yours
so nice.
yours is Leafs and Dallas and the Stars.
Yes.
Mine is Devils and Avalanche. So we both have very different teams for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think's going to win the cup?
Okay, so I've said a lot about this Leafs team. I have said that I think getting the monkey off the back in terms of winning a first round playoff series is huge, and I stand by that. I think they will not be running as high off their own fumes in terms of getting to a second round or even a third round, because I think when that team buys into their own hype a little bit too much, it becomes dangerous for them and they end up choking. I don't think they'll have that as much. That is until they reach the Stanley Cup Finals, where there is another even bigger 50-plus-year-old monkey on their back, which is the not having a cup since 1967. That is even more daunting than overcoming the whole first round thing, because the first round thing was only since 2004. This is since 1967. That is a lot of pressure, and can you imagine the amount of... I hate myself for predicting this, because the Canadian sports networks are going to be insufferable. I will not be able to... I will unfollow Sportsnet's Instagram for this playoff run, because it will just be awful. We will see so many... Austin
Matthews is better than McDavid.
Oh,
remember that time McDavid went out in the first round? Matthews is better than McDavid. Yeah.
It's just going to be brutal. It's going to be awful. But I do think by the time it reaches the Stanley Cup Finals, all of that is going to get to them a little bit, because it's such an interesting matchup in terms of the Leafs being this huge media darling that has all of the talent in the world. I don't think it's that much of a stretch to say that the Leafs have significantly more talent than the Dallas Stars. When you look up and down their lineup. But the Stars are way more built to win. The Stars do not have nearly as much pressure. And the Stars have so much more experience going deep into the playoffs. Whereas the Leafs, I think, will be tired, fatigued, and just overwhelmed at this point. I think
a little bit. I almost feel like there's a little bit of...
efficient.
There is going to be a little bit of how the hell did we get here, I think, in that Toronto locker room if that happened. Where it's almost like you got this far that if you lose, oh my God, like this the will be outrage.
I said to you before this was started, Simon, and if you're a Leafs fan that's gotten this far into the podcast, I am so sorry. Shout out Ryan, my friend Ryan. If this happens in real life, I think I'm going to need to fly back to Vancouver to give him some therapy if this happens, because this will just be brutal for Leafs fans to just come this tantalizingly close and to get upset by a team that you're frankly better than. But if this is the matchup, I don't see a world where the Leafs can win. I think they lose in 6.
I don't see a world where they make it if they somehow make it to the finals, I don't see a world where they win. Like, it doesn't matter who's on the other side. I think that any team that's good enough to make the finals out of the West, I think beats the shit out of that Leafs team. Just because
I don't think they beat the shit out of them, but I feel like it's just a series where the Stars will be underrated so much and the Leafs will be talked up so much that it's just going to come as such a shock to the system when the Stars beat that. Like, I would not be shocked if the series goes something like this. The Leafs win the first game and the world is just on fire. The Leafs only need to win 3 more games to win the cup. Oh my god. And then the Stars come back, win the next like 3 in a row. The Leafs get 1 more and people start getting their hopes up again.
Reverse sweep. That'd be my prediction.
Them.
No.
I'd
say in 5.
It's not. I think it'll be in 6. I think the Leafs will put up a little bit more of a fight than that, just based on their talent alone. And not only, like, I focus so much on the Leafs because, again, they are the media darling, but this Stars team is ready for a cup.
They've been ready for a cup since, like, 2021.
Even going back further. Like, they played so good. Like, we forget. I think that they were the most, like, forgettable Stanley Cup final. They're a forgettable team because I do think they play a little bit of a boring brand of hockey. But you forget that they made the Stanley Cup Finals in the bubble, right? Like, and they took that Lightning team to 6, I believe. They're ready,
looked good,
and I think they're underrated, and I think they're the one team that nobody's predicted. I haven't seen anybody predict the Stars for the Cup, but I think it's very possible that they win the whole thing. I think that would be great for that team. I think it's great. It would be great to have a cup go to Texas in terms of building the game in the South. And yeah,
that's true. Yeah,
and that's another thing that the Leafs would hate about that in terms of traditional hockey market versus very much non-traditional hockey market. I think that would be a fascinating Cup Finals. I don't know. That's my take on all of that. I do kind of hope I like your matchup of Avs Devils probably better, but I think Leafs Stars is a good matchup in terms of just the absolute like shitstorm that the Leafs making the cups is going to be. Also the matchup in terms of like hyped versus not hyped, traditional hockey market versus non-traditional hockey market, big name stars versus like depth pieces or underrated guys like Rupe Hintz. I kind of love that storyline, and I feel like the Stars will be such big underdogs going into it that I think it'll be a great underdog story when they eventually win.
If I was a betting man, I would say that I think yours is more likely, but I do think mine would be a better series.
Yeah.
I think that it would be the absolute underdog story because the Avalanche they are the cup favorite, I believe, right now. I think you might have to check me on that. I believe if they're not the favorite, they are top 3. Everybody, even Peyton Manning thinks they're going to bounce back. They have come into this finals.
Of course, Peyton Manning thinks they're.
Of course, Peyton Manning. You know what I mean. I'm using him as the example. But they walked through a tough Western Division. Obviously, second round they took on the Stars. Tough series right there. We just talked about how good the Stars are. Avs versus Oilers, another tough series. If you're going to be taking out McDavid, that's going to be rough. And then in the first round, obviously, I have them taking on the Blues, which is fairly easy. That's an easy one. But I think overall, that's a tough playoff run. They are running through it. And I think that they are going to look really, really good in this Stanley Cup. I think it's going to go long. I think we're going to see a lot of rivalries. I think this will be the best Stanley Cup finals we've seen in a long time. I think it's going to be super entertaining hockey. It'll be physical. We will see a lot of skill from both sides. I think in probably one of the biggest upsets in Stanley Cup history, I think the Devils will end up winning it. Because think about it right now. You said that nobody's betting on the Stars. Imagine. What are the odds on the Devils winning it?
Ooh, that's a good question. So the Avs are indeed the favorite to win the Cup. In terms of looking up the Cup odds, they're just above the Hurricanes, I believe. They're the favorites to win the Cup, followed by the Carolina Hurricanes. Then let's look at the rest of these. FanDuel will load for me.
The Dallas Stars are currently 6th.
That's higher than I thought they'd be. The
You
Devils
have to
are
scroll
4th.
pretty far
The
for the
Devils are
Devils.
4th.
Oh, are
No,
they? They are.
FanDuel
Never
has-
mind. I'm blind. Yeah, you're right. The Devils are 4.
That's surprisingly higher than I thought they would be. But in terms of actually who's predicting them, I haven't seen a whole lot.
I think that they should be getting predicted more. I think that they absolutely have gotten a lot better. They gave a lot of every team they faced last year a lot of hell. I think that they are just going to come back this year and look even better.
Yeah.
It's going to be good, though. If that series happens, that'll be some good
That would
hockey.
be nice. Retro throwback style.
Oh, yeah. Like, because that's like, when you, I don't know if you've ever, like, actually looked into, like, that. I cannot remember what book it is off the top of my head, and I don't. No, I don't have it behind me. But I remember reading a book when I was younger, just on the series between the New Jersey Devils, or like just the rivalry between the Devils and the Avs. Holy crap. There is some stuff there. Like that's those like that 90s thing where it was Avs, New Jersey, Detroit, like that like era of hockey is some of the best hockey ever played. And it feels like it doesn't get talked about a lot. But that is some of like the most entertaining hockey you'll read, watch, anything, listen to any of it. Because it was just a different beast. And you don't see rivalries like that anymore, which just sucks. Like
Yeah.
But hey, there we go. That is our Stanley Cup picks. You have the Dallas Stars. I have the New Jersey Devils. Both
how many games?
Ooh.
I have Stars in 6 over the Leafs. How many games do you have the Devils taking it over the Avs?
Well, like I said, I think it's going to be one of the craziest series we've seen in a long time, and it's going to be an upset. So I'd say 7. It's got to be 7. It's got to be the dream.
I like it.
Like third period, like that type of thing. It's going to be wild.
We need an over. You know what we need? We need an overtime Game 7 winner in the Cup Finals.
That's what I'm saying.
We need that. I don't at that point like after almost 2 hours 45 minutes almost of us talking about this. Let's just say throw all of the predictions aside. If we can just get a Game 7 overtime for the Stanley Cup Finals, no matter what two teams are playing, that would be the dream.
And throwing all that aside, just to add a little bit more on top of that, if the Dallas Stars do not win the cup, Caleb Peterson will jump in the Pacific Ocean.
I'm not betting anything anymore. No. Especially this far out. No. I don't know, man. I think if it does happen, I think we throw Simon in the Bow River. I think that's the.
Oh, is that the bet we're gonna have?
If the Stars win the cup.
If the Stars win the cup, I will jump in the Bow River.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. Is there? There's a good place to do that because the Bow River's pretty nuts most of the time. I can find an area.
You can find a spot.
I can find a spot. If the New Jersey Devils win the cup, you got to throw yourself in the ocean a second time.
Yeah, that's fair.
We got to make this. We got to make this.
You got to make it even.
Yeah.
I think
that's it. The longest trick play episode ever.
Yeah, and we're not even counting the intro and outro. Like we've already gone way above that, and we haven't even.
Do we have to do an outro? Just don't come back. Just come back next week.
Yeah, this is our unofficial outro right now. Thank you for sticking with us for fucking 2 hours and 38 minutes. If anybody's here, I feel free to swear as much as I want because nobody's getting here.
Oh yeah. Especially not Editor Simon. He ain't finding this shit. Fuck you, Editor Simon.
No. Yeah. Well, I mean, who knows? Maybe this will be what what finally lifts us off is our 3-hour analysis of the NHL season. That's what people have been wanting. That's where the gap in the market is. This is a
personally,
real crowd
I think
pleaser.
Caleb, I think you running into the ocean over a Bears prediction is gonna be what takes us off.
You know what? If that's what it takes for Trick Play to go big, I'm willing. I'll do it. I'd run into the ocean so many times for that.
That entire thing is so funny. Still,
do I have to? I've been thinking about this. Do I have to do it? I think I specified that I have to do it fully clothed too.
yeah, I think so.
God.
I don't remember. Did you?
I think I did. I'm enough
Here.
of a fool to do
Here,
that.
1 second. Let's bring
I'm
up the tape.
I'm gonna end up being in like jeans.
My phone is
Because this
about to
shit-
die. Hopefully, it doesn't die while I try and.
That would be a good
Bears
end to the
Commanders.
podcast.
Can you hear it?
Surprisingly, my
Commanders.
stuff hasn't died. This is normally the issue.
Oh no, it was about to die. It died. My phone died. Okay.
Oh well, shit.
Well, shit. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I said that I needed to be fully clothed. I think I was so confident that I would make that kind of a fool's move.
Oh God. Like that entire thing is awesome. that is like the best. It's
this was-
also
I think
like
that-
the fact
was
that
like
you were a total.
This-
I don't know if you remember what the score you predicted was, but you were a
I think
total
it-
of 44 points off.
Yeah, I think I said it. Well, I think I said the Commanders would win by like 21 or something.
24.
They lost. They lost by
Yeah.
that much, basically.
Yeah, they lost
And
by
I- 20.
But I
Yeah.
remember thinking to myself, because when I was editing that together, I was thinking to myself, oh my God, I really hope they lost by 24. That would have been pure comedy gold.
Yikes! Yeah. And I love how that's the first. That was the first like clip that got promoted on the good old Fresh Take Network.
I was going to wait to
Instagram.
bring that up after the podcast because I wanted to say that I think that's absolutely hilarious. And I also wanted to make sure that you knew that I did not talk to Josh about that. That was not planned at all. I just
It's
like...
okay. I need my.
Because, my
it's
God,
okay.
the
If
fact
they-
that was the first one that got promoted is so funny.
If a bunch of people are gonna know me as the guy who has bad takes and who has to jump in the ocean, if that's
Apparently.
my legacy, so be it. As long as me actually going in the ocean makes it on the Fresh Take Network.
Yeah, that's got to be the one. That's got to be the one deal now, though, isn't it? We got to
Yeah,
get
if
you
you-
sprinting in the
If
ocean.
if you put me making a fool out of myself on there, at least bring it home. At least bring it full circle.
Oh my God! When I saw that, I honestly felt pretty bad because, like, I said this before the podcast. I did feel bad making that short because I was like, "Do I really want to promote this that much?" But like, you were so
Yeah.
confident, and I was like, "I don't know.
It's okay. It's okay.
This
I'm-
is gold."
if I am to be so bold, I have to face up. I have to fix the music. So
Ugh.
look Trick Play listeners, look forward to it.
Look forward to
I'm
it.
not
Don't
gonna
listen
I'm not
into
gonna
that
have a fun
podcast.
Oh God, I'm sure it'll be the lead off. That'll be our intro.
Probably will
me
be.
running into the ocean. Oh God. It's okay. I'll be fine.
Oh,
If I-
you're making me need to like up my predictions now. This is gonna become a
Yeah,
war
Simon. Where's your
next week. Ooh.
boldness?
Okay. Let me pull up NFL this week. Let's see.
Yeah, our one coverage of the NFL.
Uh,
What's your lock? What's your
Oh,
lock?
you know what? Even better. The Flames are playing tomorrow
Against the Jets.
against the Jets.
Is that gonna be your lock?
Don't the Flames have like a record of losing their first game of the season?
Yes. Yeah.
How many games in a row have the Flames lost? How many first?
I don't know, but I don't think it's pretty. Although I do think they won their first game not that long. I think like a couple years ago they did.
Let's see. I'm not finding anything on it. What's worth it? Do I have to say I have to jump in the Bow River? If that's the
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's about even. Unless
That's
you want
about
to
even.
one-up me and make something even more outlandish. I don't know what you
I
think.
don't know if I want to, based on Flames versus Winnipeg, to be honest with you. But
Well, not going very bold. Not
I'm
going
not.
very bold. I see how it is.
Oh, sir. I'm not going bolder than jumping in the damn Pacific Ocean. You were pretty confident over this Bears thing. I'm sitting here looking at this Winnipeg game going like the Flames could totally suck right off the bat. Sure. Why not?
Well, I have a little more confidence in.
Although I will say I will go slightly under. I will not be fully clothed. I will probably wear a bathing suit because I'm not a dumbass.
It's okay. I'm gonna be in full Vancouver fall clothing. I don't know what that looks like, but I'm gonna be in jeans, so it's gonna be a great time.
Oh my god. Oh, I just spilt my Slurpee. Let's end the fucking podcast.
That's a good place to end it. Anyways, if you liked it, find us in the places, and if you want to see me jump in the ocean, be back next week because it'll probably
Are you doing it?
have happened by then. I'm gonna do it. I'm fucking.
You're gonna
It's
do it?
20 on. It's 20 degrees on Friday. The weather's not gonna be any better than that, and I'm not exactly doing
Yeah.
all that much. It'll happen. That'll be the intro to the podcast next week. So that's the best That's the best outro I can give. Come back next week for me making a fool out of myself.
You gonna be okay, buddy?
No.
No. Oh. Don't bet on the Bears. Or don't bet against the Bears, I guess, huh?
Don't bet on the Commanders.
Don't bet on the
Jesus.
Flames. Jesus Christ. I'm getting my...
We'll brave the waters together. It's okay.
Yeah. Okay. Goodbye.